Welcome. This is Norman Kochnick. I've got an unusual looking little squizzy line on the front of those. I'm here. It's obviously a wonderful day. It's the eve of the magnificent. Oh my heavens! Simon, we're joined by other royalty here. We've got Chris Vernon.
Morning.
Now, let me see that cap. Get closer. Look at this. Look at
got
this.
the t-shirt on too. I'm a proper kid, and I've got which is probably my favourite piece of equipment, the mug. Lovely.
Now, Simon, Chris has got your gear. He's got some of your gear already.
Wow. I've still got your caps here as well, guys. I just haven't got around to sending them, so apologies.
That's all right. Chris, you know Gil, don't you?
Yes, yeah. We've done a couple. We've done a couple before.
I'm stoked. This is like this is going back, going forward. There's a whole host of things going on here. Can I just say up front, guys, things are going wonderfully well with the channel, okay? And thanks to the likes of all three of you and your roles over time. I've just uploaded another video with this gangbusters, impression of local Australians and what they think, but it's just going so well. Hello, Sheree Guthrie, you've joined us. I can see how nice to see you. Now, guys, have we got a lot to talk about? My God, have we got a lot to talk about? I mean, to me, this is the crescendo of crescendos in terms of Test cricket. I saw a video out from the ICC about 5 minutes ago. It had Botham, Ian Chappell, Shane Warne talking, Mahaljar Wagner. I think it had, what's his name, the opening batter from South Africa. I've forgotten his name. His name eludes me. Who's the most famous South African opening batter who captained?
Graham Smith.
Yes, Graham Smith, exactly. Not Hansi Cronje. It was just amazing to listen to them talk, and they were super excited. And I don't think there was any putting on. They really were excited. I think this is going to be a huge crescendo, don't you think? It is a magnificent stage. I don't care how the teams got there and what the point system was, or who they didn't play or who they did play, and who had too many, who overs, whatever. It doesn't matter. This is a final worthy of an FA Cup. You can't get better.
The problem is, I think the Great British weather might ruin that crescendo.
I think did you have to bring it up so early? Did you?
Well, I didn't want to. I think that's unfortunately.
Since we are on the subject of the weather, I wanted to add something that I was in the UK during the 2019 World Cup. So I just landed in London a day before the India-Sri Lanka game, and then I'd taken a bus to Leeds, an overnight bus, and London was hot. I'd say, it was hot by London standards. It was 17, 18 degrees. And I thought, one t-shirt along with the sweater should be enough at best. And then I reached Leeds. It had rained all night, and it was 6 degrees in the morning. Until the game was supposed to begin at 11 a.m. Until 10 a.m. there was no sun at all. There was all cloudy and everything. And, strong breeze was blowing, and I was actually feeling cold. I was thinking, how am I going to survive this game in just this one India t-shirt and everything? It's going to be really cold. And by the time the game began, I think half an hour into the game, it was bright and sunny, complete sunshine. And the next day I had sunburns because it was so sunny. So you really can't, I think, be predictable with the weather, even though forecast might be predicted. But as you've seen before, sometimes that there has been no forecast, but there have been rains, and when there has been forecast, there haven't been any rains, and you never know how it will turn up.
Now, quickly before we go to Simon, because I know he's busting this. Actually, you look slimmer, Simon. Have you been quite into fitness? Have you?
Just working hard, Norman. It's been quite warm here lately, despite what has just been said about the British weather. It's been very, very warm. So coaching in this weather, you lose a few pounds.
Wow. Chris, come on, get close to the screen. I know the t-shirt looks a bit big on you.
It is a bit big. I think my dad was a bit upset that he didn't get a t-shirt, so he might have this because I'm not an extra large.
I'm going to get. Why is he upset? I'll get him another t-shirt. Oh my God, I can never win, can I? I'll bring you a box load of stuff, and he's Jesus. So you've got stuff for Simon, haven't you? Got something for Simon?
Yeah, I've got a cap and a mug for Simon. Was that right?
Yep. And there's more coming. There's more coming. Have a go at this.
I haven't got anything.
But yeah, Gil's going to get stuff, but he's not getting a cap for some strange reason. Maybe he won't wear it. Can you see my jacket?
Yeah.
It's got the jacket there. The face.
Very smart.
I got the polo shirt too. You know,
Gone for it.
Norman, you've been muted.
We've lost you, Norman.
No, okay. I'm back. I'm going to get back. Did you lose me? Oh, now what do I? No, I'm here.
Yep. I can hear you.
Okay. Alan, if you want to join, we're live.
I think the interesting thing
right,
for the match this week, and I don't know what Gil thinks obviously as an Indian fan, first and foremost, there's a lot of talk that India are going to play Ashwin and Jadeja. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I'm almost convinced that New Zealand will drop their spinner and play 4 or 5 quicks. I think they'll probably play Bolt, Southey, Wagner and Jameson. And the pitch this morning, I saw a picture on Twitter from Ishigua, maybe, and it definitely looked green. I know they haven't cut it yet, but with the weather around, do you think India will persist with the 2 spinners, or do you think they might try and stack the seamers?
No, I agree with you, where I also feel that New Zealand may just drop Ijaz Patel, because they don't even have Satner in the squad. So they might drop Ijaz Patel, and if they are bold enough, they might even drop Colin D. Grandhome and have Matt Henry come in. They could easily have Jameson at 7, Saudi at 8, and 9, 10, 11 could be Bolt, Henry, and Wagner, whichever order you might want to have it. So if that happens, then New Zealand definitely start as favorites. As far as India is concerned, I think the bowling attack of Jadeja, Ashwin, Ishant, Bumrah, and Shami is their best bowling attack. It's a very well-rounded attack which covers every kind of wicket possible and every kind of problems that you might face. So even if it's say completely green, which I don't think it would be, because they'll obviously cut down the grass, I still think that India will go in with these 5, because they are their best bowling attack regardless of conditions. Even if we look back at the test match in 2014 in Lords, when the pitch was completely green, by the time we reached day 4, day 5, there was no grass on it, and it was spinning quite a lot. So you still have to back your best bowlers. And the another issue is that whosoever India play as a 4th seamer, say if they play Mohammad Siraj, then you run the risk of having 2 bowlers who could actually leak runs if they're not a spot on the radar. We know Mohammad Shami is not the most consistent bowler, and with Siraj also coming in, your batting might be affected. And with the left-handers that New Zealand have in the top 6, you want Ravichandran Ashwin to be there as well. So I don't see how any of Ashwin or Jadeja will be dropped. So I still think that regardless of what the pitch looks like now, India should still go in with these 5: Jadeja, Ashwin, Ishant, Bumrah, and Shami.
Exactly. We've had a lot, both Simon and Chris, Gil and I have been involved in a lot of discussions around this very topic, and it's very relevant that you brought it up. The fact is, it is unlikely that New Zealand will have any spinners in their attack, other than perhaps Williamson and his whatever form of bowling he bowls. Then the rest, India are going with their best players. Now, we're not talking about spinners, medium pacers, or speed bowlers, fast bowlers. They're going with their best players. And quite frankly, Jadeja and Ashwin are their best bowlers in terms of statistics.
By the way, just want to tell our viewers that there's never been a test match where India have played all 5 of Jadeja, Ashwin, Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah together. There's not been a single test match yet. So if it happens in the World Test Championship, it would be the first time that this bowling attack will play for India. And I'd say it is fitting that the first time that it's happening is in the World Test Championship final.
I just want to touch on the ball that's going to be used. I think that's going to dictate sides quite drastically. You saw in the last Test match, England v New Zealand, the Duke's ball swung a hell of a lot, and it's pretty humid here at the moment. It's pretty humid and hot, and for me, swing bowling is going to be crucial. I think the spin bowler's role is going to be predominantly to hold an end up, and then maybe as the game goes on, comes into it. But for me, it's the swing that's going to cause problems, particularly at the Rose Bowl. Overhead conditions at the Rose Bowl have a significant impact on the wicket. If it's completely blue sky, it generally goes flat. But any sign of cloud cover, and that Duke's ball comes into play massively.
Yeah, that's excellent points. Okay. I listened to Ian Chappell speak today, and he put emphasis on both bowling attacks being the cornerstone of the match in terms of the way they play. But you can conversely say the batter's ability to survive what will be great bowling is an equally as important element. And the reality is, I'm hoping that the likes of Kohli, Rahane, Gill, and particularly Sharma are learning how to let the ball go outside off stump against good swing bowling, because they all four are very much bat on ball. They usually get a hold of bat on ball and can drive and do very well, but they're also susceptible to edges, as they were in Australia when they were all out for 36. And that's, to me, a crucial. Pujara, we know, will do it. Pujara will know how to lead a ball. But the other four top batters won't. And, I mean, Pant, we know, will do his level best to hit out of the ground. But the top four are notorious nickers, aren't they? In the Indian line, in particular.
Even if we are going to talk of Cheteshwar Pujara, I have a few numbers here. Versus Trent Bolt, he's been dismissed 4 times by Trent Bolt, and he scored 133 runs off 299 balls. Versus Jamieson, he's been out twice, facing 89 deliveries and scoring 21 runs. Versus Tim Southee, he's been out thrice, scoring 43 runs of 130 balls. So if New Zealand don't play a spinner, then Pujara could actually find it very difficult to score runs off. He might be able to, blunt the new ball and hold one end up. But what has happened in Pujara's game, I think, over the last 4 years is that, one, he's cut down on playing the pull or the hook shot immensely. You don't see him playing the pull or the cut, pull or the hook. And he doesn't cut the ball unless it is outside his 5th stump or the 6th stump. He doesn't even think of, doing anything with a short of length delivery, which is on a 4th or the 5th stump. So if New Zealand don't play a spinner, then I think Cheteshwar Pujara would be under a lot of pressure to score runs, because he will not get any leeway. And like I said, he's been dismissed 4 times by Bolt, 2 times by Jamieson, and 3 times by Southee.
There we have it. I mean, we've got enough stats there. That's fantastic. Now, I have to digress for a minute. Chris, get closer. I want to see this. Hat looks a bit big, but is it okay?
That's fine. Yeah, it's not big. It's fine. I've got a very small head, so.
But do you realise you've got my name on your head?
Yeah, it won't be staying up for long. I've got my other cap here if you wind me up. So.
No. You know what's so funny? I'm on the streets going, make sure you Google eyes on cricket, and I'm spelling it, and they'll look at me and go, it's on your hat. It's just quite funny. All right. Look, I feel great having you two guys back. I mean, Gil, of course. It's granted, I love having Gil here. But having Simon and Chris is a bit like old times. I'm stoked. All right. And Chris, what else did you have in the box? You had stuff. You had a hat and a mug for Simon.
2 caps for David mugs, I think it was.
And Munchie.
Yeah, a mug for Munchie. I think he's on mute. He messaged me, said he'll be in a bit. So yeah, I'll try and drop that in. He's not too far from me. So.
Well, there's more gear coming. I've got a whole lot of stuff coming through. I'm scouring my bank balance, but I'm happily doing it. So there's more stuff. I've even got. How's this? I did a deal with the ICC, and I got a number of shirts saying ICC World Test Championship 2021.
I think if you get it, I think you should definitely send one to me. I've been one of the most regular.
Okay.
Definitely send something.
I can't do much. I can't do much with the cap anyway. I've told you.
I know. But so I did a deal with them. I said I've got a show, and can you give me a little bit of a deal? They've done it, and they're promising to deliver it tomorrow morning, without fail.
Brilliant.
So on the eve of the match, I can't believe it. So I'm really excited. So I'm very buoyant at the moment. Look, we're also, and I'm also teaming up with Rabbitohs TV, the football team, Simon. So we're going to have all these lovely Indian fans following the Rabbitohs.
You even
playing the Broncos.
You even got me to do an oath. You even got me to do an oath for Rabbitohs, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah, I got them all saying, "Thou shalt." What was it? Hands up. Hands up. I will forever be a Rabbitohs fan. Was it? Yeah. All right. So, where do you think this Test match is going to be won? Even though we're not going to get a full 5 days play, even if there's a 6th day, there's still the potential to win this match. Where's it going to be won?
I
in
think
the limited time they have.
I think New Zealand have a huge advantage by already playing in the conditions, being over here for a long period of time. I think it's all about the batters. You know, batters scoring runs against the Duke's ball. That's the biggest challenge. And, you know, you've only got to look at the county championship and see the lack of runs scored early season in the counties. It's not easy to come in and play against straight away. So for me, it's New Zealand batters have had that early experience, shall we say. And for me, New Zealand go in favourites.
So the Duke's ball, which is, I looked at both. Alan Mullally had both balls on the screen yesterday, and I'm not aware because I've actually played with it. What do we use against you guys in England, Chris? Do we have a Duke's ball in?
Yeah, England Test matches are always. We did use a Dukes actually. Yeah, in that game we did. Use a Dukes because it swung round corners. Yeah, it was a Test match Dukes. They're darker, they're bigger seam than the Kookaburras, aren't they, Simon? They're weird. The Kookaburras are weird. From having never played with one, you go over and pick one up, and it's almost like almost like an Incredible, isn't it? It doesn't really feel like a proper cricket ball. It's very odd.
Yeah, so the Kookaburra ball is a machine-stitched ball, whereas the Duke's ball is hand-stitched. But also the other thing about a Kookaburra ball and a Duke's ball is that obviously the Duke's ball is used in the UK a lot, so the lacquer on the Duke's ball for weather conditions, whereas the Kookaburra doesn't quite have that lacquer. So the Duke's ball holds its shine for a longer period, whereas the Cooker, you probably only get it for 30 overs, and then it's probably more likely to reverse swing than the Duke's. So yeah, if it's a lush outfield, you know, the Duke's ball will swing for 80 overs. That's the difference between the balls.
Now, is it whenever I pick up the two balls, I always feel that the Duke's ball is actually smaller in my hand. It's probably not real, but it feels smaller.
I think that's the seam slightly different. So the flatter seam on the Kookaburra ball makes it feel a little bit bigger in your hand. Yeah, you're not the first to say that. A lot of people. We used to go down and actually hand select the balls for our bowlers at Kent. You can't do that nowadays, but one of our bowlers, Martin Saggers, used to love going down there because of that reason. He wanted to try and find the smallest balls that he could that felt in his hand. So yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, and I rather like that because you seem to have more control over the ball. Regardless of how you hold the ball.
And also they say that the ball, whether this is true or not, I don't know, but isn't as round as a Cooker. So the Kookaburra, with the flat seam, the Kookaburra is, so the Duke is a little bit more spherical. So again, I'm not a scientist, but maybe that is a reason why the ball swings as well as what's inside the ball.
But the very way that you cock the hand with a Duke's ball is definitely different than a Kookaburra. The way you hold a Kookaburra and a Duke, there's more of a cocked hand delivery. And that's, again, what I'm picking up from what Alan said, and I think it is right. I mean, me, of course, being a champion wobbler myself. So, Chris, okay. Tell me more about the hat. Does it feel good? Is it good quality? It's not FCC standard.
It feels fine, Norman. Yeah, it's a nice hat. I'm glad to have finally. I'm glad to have walked home last night for a big box. My mum was like, "Oh, you got a big box from Australia." So I was pleased to receive it. It's cool. I like it.
That's good. And there's more to come, guys, because I'm talking to my Embroidered Me. There's a group called Embroidered Me. They give me all this great stuff. All right. So now there's two aspects to this. There's this particular match, which we're going to see, the WTC. But there's also the series, the 5-test series. Now, I've heard a lot of discussion around different groups, and Gil can confirm this. People always put one eye on the next series rather than on this series, and that's dangerous. You have to concentrate on this game, select your best side. The players have to go all holds barred out. Even if they're slightly injured, they should be putting everything on the line to play well in this match, I believe, as opposed to not being 100%, resting a little bit for the next series. They've got to think about this one match.
I think, to be fair, though, Norman, credit to the ICC, there's a significant amount of money on this game as well for the players. You know, I think there's something like 1.5 million US to the winner and 800,000 to the runner-up. So if you're ever going to be motivated, not only to be the best team in the world, you've got your financial advantage as well. So for me, I can't see them thinking too far ahead at this stage.
How much are the English and Indian women getting for their test match, by the way, which is on as we speak? Are they getting that sort of money?
On the used pitch at Bristol?
What do you think about the used pitch, Wilco? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I feel that it's disappointing, and I think that there's a bit of saltiness around the women's game about it. But at the same time, when you look at, I think they said yesterday that 70% of women's test matches in England are in the draw. So is it better for the game to have it on a pitch that will offer a result, or is it better to, I don't know there's obviously a reason why women's India have played 2 tests in 18 years, or this is their 3rd test in 2003. So there's clearly a lack of want for women's test cricket, which is a shame. But do you feel that playing on a wicket that will offer a result and have a bit more in it for the bowlers is the way to go? I mean, what do you think?
Well, to be fair, I think it's more that you want to encourage the game, don't you? You want people to play the longer format. And if it was a men's game, it would be on a fresh wicket. Unfortunately, I think there's a little bit of logistics involved here from a point of view that the test match was brought in quite late in the schedule, and therefore all the other fixtures had been put in place. So when it comes to TV games, you have to have only a certain number of pitches you can play on because of camera angles, etc. And this was the best fit. This was what was left. 37 overs. In a T20, it wasn't going to break the bank. I think it was more about, in an ideal situation, you want to start on an even kill. You don't want the toss to become a big factor. And you want to encourage women's cricket, from a point of view of growing the game. For me, the more we can see this longer format, there's a nervousness for me that the women's game is just going to go down the T20 route because of the financial benefits of it. But it'd be nice to see the other elements of the women's game growing at the same time.
Well, the fact is they're playing. India's playing England, but they're also playing Australia over the summer as well. So they're getting quite a double whammy there, aren't they? Now, Gil,
I feel as far as the pitch is concerned, more rather than it being a used pitch which has had 37 overs played on it, I think the bigger issue is that it's quite a slow one. So the result may not still be possible, because we saw it yesterday that whenever the bowlers were banging it a little short, the batsmen were actually enjoying it, and the ball wasn't rising enough. So that is a concern, I think. And if there is still no result because of that, then it would probably come down to the fact that the pitch wasn't a great one, because you also have it's not even your 5-day test match, it's a 4-day test match. So rather than the pitch being a used one, I think the bigger issue is that it's quite a slow one. And I mean, as of now, England are 326 for 7, and they lost a wicket early in the day's play, but still have been having a good partnership, 56 runs. So you never know if England may drag it to 50 more runs, and then if India also bat long, then we may not have a result at all.
And that's a key point for me, Gil. Is for me, we need to find a way of speeding the women's game up. You've just touched on a slow pitch there. A suggestion I made about 4 or 5 years ago was to shorten the pitches, to make it, fast bowlers can bowl a proper bouncer, and it just speeds it up. So a 20-yard pitch maybe is something to think about, and bring some boundaries in as well, because no disrespect to the ladies, physicality comes into it. So for me, how can we make it a more exciting spectacle for people is a critical factor. T20, that's moved on fantastically, but for me, how can we grow the game to get more people interested?
How did you propose the shortened pitch, and who did you propose it to?
In discussions. It wasn't an official one. It was just in discussions at various levels of the game. Particularly when I was in Sri Lanka, I just believe that just because we've done something for so many years, why can't we look at it and try and improve it? And on the back of the T20 wave, I thought this might be a way of creating excitement, I suppose, creating that a bit more of a battle between bat and ball at times.
And of course, you would have heard that Hashan Tilakaratne has got the women's coaching role, which I applauded. I was very much happy about that.
Yeah, no, Hashan loves his cricket, so he's very committed to it. The girls will know what training is because he likes to train them hard, so they'll be doing plenty of hours training up there. But it's just hopeful that this COVID situation improves out there, because that's the biggest challenge they've got at the moment, to get any cricket underway. So a lot of the girls haven't played for a while now.
That's for sure. There's questions about Hanuma Vihari, about his heroics in Sydney, which was a great innings. He and, of course, Ashwin batted particularly well and saved the match, which then allowed them to win the next match at the Gabba. He won't be selected at this point unless a miracle happens, because the way the batting order is pretty sound. Do you think there's anything injustices there, Gil or Simon or Chris?
No. Because if you look at it, Hanuma Vihari played that. He might not have played that test match in Sydney if Virat Kohli was available. Because if Virat Kohli would have been available, he would have batted 4, Ajinkya Rahane would have batted 5, then Rishabh Pant 6, and then you would have those 5 bowlers. So not really. And I think that's how it's going to be for Hanuma Vihari, because of what Jadeja has been offering. He's become very good with the bat, and with the ball he was always invaluable. So when you have a 7 and 8 of Ashwin and Jadeja, all of whom can give runs, then it becomes difficult to play a 6 batsman. Rishabh Pant is also pulling his weight. So the only way Hanuma Vihari can come in, if say one of the top 5 isn't in form or isn't scoring runs, it could be Rahane, it could be one of the openers, then maybe Hanuma Vihari could come in, because Hanuma Vihari has also opened once in test matches where he opened when Mayank Agarwal was making his debut in 2018 in Melbourne on the Boxing Day. Also in domestic cricket, when Hanuma Vihari is playing the Ranji Trophy, he bats in the top 3 anyway for his state side, Andhra Pradesh. So you'd say he's unfortunate, but I don't think there's much you can do. You have to put the team first, so he'll have to miss out. Unless India play, on a pitch, say at a Trent Bridge, where that a ball would seam and swing a lot, where India do feel that they need to have extra batting, then maybe Hanuma Vihari could come in at 6, and then Rishabh Pant would be 7, and then you could have the 4 bowlers. But apart from that, on most pitches, especially overseas, it's going to be difficult for Hanuma Vihari to find a slot for himself.
So, Gil, we can't let Simon and Chris get away with something here. We haven't mentioned the L word for losing a certain test series that just took place. We haven't had much discussion, have we? It's been notable, the absence of Simon Willis and Chris Vernon from those broadcasts. I'm not sure whether they were washing their hair that day, whether they had some dinner engagements, but we had a severe lack of English involvement in those. Can we share? No. I can see dissension in the ranks already.
Chris is unperturbed.
I said if you wound me up, Norman, then I'd take the hat off, so it's fine. I'll take the t-shirt off next.
No.
Cup's going out the window.
But in all fairness, Simon and Chris, you need to comment a little bit about what your thoughts were of that series.
I think first and foremost, New Zealand is a very good side in these conditions. England's bowling was fine. I don't have any issues with how we bowled. I actually think we bowled pretty well. And I was at the first 2 days of the Lord's Test. I think just New Zealand showed that they're very good in these sort of conditions, and they just batted. England had a couple of players out. I'm not, it was pretty much their top 6, but no Ben Stokes, no Archer, no Butler, a couple missing, and it just showed. I think that a couple of the next guys sort of coming in probably just aren't good enough at the moment, and how much a couple of those players mean. But I think the biggest disappointment was in the Lord's Test that we didn't have a go at it on the last day and try and win. I'm not saying we should have gone all out trying to win the game, but could have had a little bit more intent for the first 50. I think they said if in the first 50 overs, if you'd scored at 3 and over, you'd needed 120 off 20, which that seems like we could have maybe just had a little bit more intent because it's a pretty flat wicket. But I don't think England will be reading too much into it. I think they knew how difficult New Zealand would be, and they had a couple of players out. But if India go in underestimating England because of it in the series coming up, then they'll be in for a shock, I think.
The reality is England had a whole heap of players out, didn't they?
Yeah, but pretty much a whole batting lineup. I think that certainly in terms of a top five, you're probably only missing Ben Stokes. So the worries about the top four, I mean, Root obviously stays, but Burns, Sibley, and Crawley is the first choice top three. So we can't make too many excuses there. I'm just worried about a couple of them. I don't know whether that would be my first choice. It's tricky, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at down the line.
Well, Ben Stokes was a huge loss to you, wasn't it? Wasn't he really?
It'd be a big loss to anyone for sure.
Yeah.
I just feel that probably England need to look at Joss Butler and be not just look at him as a wicketkeeper batsman only, because I think sometimes they're getting into this debate where they only want to play Joss Butler or Ben Foakes. You could easily have Joss Butler as one of the top 6 batsmen and then have Ben Foakes at number 7. Especially, if you look at the other players which are around, Joss Butler, I know his numbers don't do the justice. His average of 30 odd is underwhelming for someone of his class and quality. But if the others that you have aren't performing, then you might as well back Joss Butler to do the job anyway in top 6, because Oli Pope's also not is also not delivering. He will play a good 20 odd or a 30 odd, but then certainly find a way to get out. If you look at the first innings of the second test, he did all the hard work and then got out to a nothing delivery of Ejaz Patel. So that should be something which should concern the selectors. Also, the number 3 conundrum, Zach Crawley sort of, I don't know, for some reason it felt as if he was slightly out of depth. Maybe they can try having someone like an Oli Pope at number 3, or even try Ben Stokes at number 3 for that matter, because I know Root is not comfortable batting at number 3, but anyway, if he's not batting at number 3, he's coming into bat when they are 2 down. So there's additional scoreboard pressure because whosoever is batting number 3 isn't being consistent enough. It's very much similar to what Misbah-ul Haq used to face with the Pakistani batting lineup when he was in charge of them. The experts and everyone used to ask him to come and bat higher up the order, maybe bat at number 4 instead of number 6, because regardless of him trying to to look after or stabilize the middle order, he was anyway coming out to bat at 10 for 3 if he was batting at number 6 or batting at number 5. So might as well come and bat at number 4 and ensure that your lesser experienced batsmen have some stability of sorts, because you are there and you are taking away that scoreboard pressure. So I think the English selectors have to do a little bit of thinking on this front. One is that, can Joss Butler play only as a batsman? 2, who should be their number 3? Is Oli Pope an option if Zach Crawley is not working? If not him, then maybe you want to try out Ben Stokes at number 3, or if not even him, then maybe do you want to go back to David Malan? So I think this is something that they need to figure out.
I think we're having the same conversation as we did after the Indian series. I don't think it's the bowling that's the problem. I think it's the top 3. The top 3 just can't get England a platform. 2 of those top 3 are failing regularly, and that's not helpful. That puts Root under pressure and the lower middle order. But I do agree with Gil here. I think that Joss Butler should be in the side batting 6. And folks batting 7 as the keeper. I think it just gives you that experience at 4, 5, 6. And if they can find a way of getting a top 3, and that might have to be going back to some players from the past. Then you're starting to look like scoring 400 regularly. But at the moment, we look very, very vulnerable.
And I think what Chris said about England not going for the target in the first test, I think it had a lot to do with Sibley not being assured of his place. Because he was under pressure and not assured of his place, I don't think he even thought of going for the target. He just thought that I'll bat time and I'll bat to sort of save my place in the side. And I think that is pretty evident when a Sibley or a Crawley is batting. They just seem to be under this mountain load of pressure on them that they have to sort of score in some way or the other to retain their place for the next Test match. So I think it also had a lot to do with that.
Alan Mullally, you've joined us. We were in darkness though.
I was at hang five. I went for a walk.
Okay. All right. Well, Alan, oh, here he is. He's back. Okay.
Is that
Now,
better?
welcome, Alan. You've got
Just do
Simon,
my left
Chris,
side.
and Gil.
Yeah, my jeans. Chris Vernon. They're called Diesel. You used to fancy stuff.
All right, we're gonna stick to we've got a very important schedule there. Alan's over the World Test Championship.
My hair's a mess
We've got-
because I went for a walk and it's bloody cold here.
But,
My
but
Lord.
I must say,
Hey,
Alan,
Gil,
even though Simon and Chris are talking about the England-New Zealand Test matches, we did have you to talk to about it as well, and you had some very good points about that particular series. But let's go straight down the barrel of what is going to be happening tomorrow. Again, I repeat myself. I heard Ian Chappell, Graham Smith, Ian Botham, Shane Warne, Mahalajar Wagner, all talking about the World Test Championship and the significance of it. Simon, do you hold it up to be a significant match?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge game. You know, it was put in place for a reason. The Test Championship. So to come out as world champions is going to be huge for whatever team achieves it.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is, in the future, is this going to be a watershed moment for Test cricket? Is it going to? We've always loved Test cricket. We know that. But is this going to put a solid set of nails onto a wall, say it's here forever, and that this is going to make it back to the pedestal of being the most significant format, with T20 and 50 over both they're important as well, and they're World Cups. Could they have called this the World Cup of Test Test World Cup, rather than yeah, okay, you're cold. I'm cold too. I'm freezing myself. I've got this
I'm
brand
in
new.
Perth, and yes, Chris, and yes, Simon, and Gilly. It does get cold. I'm bloody frozen. Oh my lord!
I think it might also have slightly to do with your age. You're also not getting younger.
Oh,
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Gil, you're throwing out a cannon there.
No, I'm just trying to sledge him so that he sort of wakes up and gives us some content.
Don't worry,
These
there's
are
no fear of that,
laughter,
Gil.
by the way.
Look, the reality is,
Okay, here we go.
we're back to that question though, Simon. Back to that question. The watershed moment of this World Test Championship. Are we going to be looking at this in 20, 30, 40 years time if we're alive? About what do you got there?
Who's that chap there?
Gilly. He's not watching.
Which one?
I can't see. I can't see the screen clearly.
Okay, we'll leave that.
Can't
So
see it.
the fact is, so we're now looking back at the situation with, like the 1975 World Cup, where Clive Lloyd and the West Indies won that competently, and they put a stamp on the 50 over match. Is this going to be looked at as a significant match? Simon.
Norman on the phone, loudspeaker. Hansi Cronje's sister.
Okay, not now, Alan, not now. I told you not now.
Well, just how Ros.
Hello, Mrs. Conyer.
The Afrikaans school. I've got children from 5 different schools and homeschool children in my academy.
Can you hear?
And the one Afrikaans school
That's-
got
Alan, that's your video. That's not live. Turn it off.
They got
Alan, that's not
arrested
live.
for corona cases in the school. The school is closed tomorrow. So now they want to know, can the children still come to cricket although the school is closed? So
Oh,
it's
my
actually
Lord.
chaos.
Okay,
Well,
Alan, we've got an important match to talk about, please. We'll leave that for another day.
I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Hester, can you get France to give me a call? I'm actually in the middle of my meeting with people. Some are with us and various people. Gilly from India. And Chris Vernon. He's a pain in the ass, but yeah, we're on the blower. So
Okay.
Can you get
Now,
France to give me a call?
Alan. Okay. We're going to move back to what Simon and Chris. I want you to talk about the World Test Championship, please. Start with Chris.
Yeah.
Only if Chris, you put the other hat back on.
I'll put my other hat back on.
Now then I'll tell you what he says.
That's awesome. Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
Oh, we need his opinion. Me and Norman and Simon, the guys, we need his opinion for this Test match coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell him.
Okay.
I'll tell him.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. I love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay. Let's
Back
just,
in the
let's
game.
just.
That was Hansi Fournier's sister, by the way.
Okay, that's great. We're going to have her on the show later, as we discussed, and on the other show. Chris, over to you. Tell me what you feel about this. Do you think in 20 years' time, when you're ripe old age of almost 50?
It will be, yeah, almost 50. Yeah, there's a scary thought. Yeah, it's obviously a big game, isn't it? I've said from the start that it's going to be a great spectacle.
No,
Alan, let Chris talk.
He's talking 50. Yes.
Go ahead, Chris.
I think that I've said from the start that it's a great idea. I think that they need to, for next time, just have a look at how it works. You know, I'm a big fan of it. I think that it would be a great competition if they did it maybe every 4 years and everyone could play each other home and away. I think in this version, for example, I don't think India played England in England, for example. You know, I think that home and away gives you a really good idea of where everyone's at, and it means that the fixtures don't dictate sort of where the table ends up. But yeah, I think that it's great. I think anything like that keeps Test cricket sort of in the public eye or spoken about, then it has to be a good thing. And I'm just looking forward to hopefully seeing. I think that New Zealand will. I think it's their time, isn't it? I think that they were unlucky in the World Cup final, and I just think that they deserve to win something. And I don't think they'll get a better chance than in this Test if the rain doesn't intervene too much.
What a credit to New Zealand cricket, though. They've got to the 50-over World Cup final, and now they've got to the World Test. You know, when you're thinking about the numbers of people that they've got playing the game in comparison to other teams around the world, I just think it's an amazing thing. You know, in all sport, New Zealand punch above their weight. So, you know, full credit to them.
Do you? I mean, the emergence of so many good bowlers at the one time and aside is quite phenomenal. I mean, Matt Henry, the way he bowled in the second Test was commendable and should even be included. He may well be left out. I mean, the reality is that Jamieson bowls to his peak. With Bolt, Southey, and Wagner in the form that they've been in, it's a pretty lethal bowling attack, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's in where India are going to struggle in England is always going to be their batting. You know, I don't see their bowling having any issues. I think the seamers will look after themselves and the spinners will bowl all right. So it really comes down to the batting lineup. And, you know, they're going to have 6 tests this summer against probably the best 2 bowling attacks in the world in English conditions. So it's going to be a real test to see where Shubman Gill is, where Rohit Sharma is. You know, and I've said before, he likes batting at home, but his record, you know, in England on when it swings, it isn't good at all. You know, I think he averages 21. So it's quite a big summer for him if he plays all 6 tests, if he doesn't get moved about. So, and it's another big series for Kohli. You know, he hasn't scored an international 100 for a couple of years. So the whole of India's batting lineup, probably bar Pant, has had question marks or has had a bit of in and out form. So they'll be keen to right some wrongs and put it right. And it's going to be an interesting summer to see where they're at with everything, really.
Look, I'm excited. I mean, as we all said, it's New Zealand's turn to have a go, but they're up against a side like India who do know how to pull a rabbit out of the hat, especially in a lot of their matches that they've played at this level. How many World Cups have they won now? They've won quite a few, and they've won a few, not of late, but in general.
India, they've had 2 World Cups and 1 T20 World Cup. 3.
Quite impressive.
Norman, because you're wearing a cap, and Chris, you're wearing a cap, this is my first cap. Can you see that?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Perth Cricket Club. This is
Chris,
almost like the baggy green in red.
Alan,
see
you're
that?
going to get 3 caps. I'm sending 3 caps to you. The next order is due this week. In fact, it's due tomorrow. And the
That's
first
my
post.
started under 13. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get a cap from me. All right, just to let you know, guys, we've had 10,000 viewers in the first half an hour of the show. Just to let you know.
Wow.
That's broken a record.
And by
All
the
right.
way, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Later.
baggy
Later.
green.
Alan, this is not about that today. It's about the World Test Championship.
Who played for that club, by the way, when he had a bad back and opened the batting? You should know, Chris. And Gil, you should know.
Not sure, Alan.
Okay.
Sorry, mate.
I didn't get your question only.
Okay. All right. Let's
Alan,
move on.
Alan,
guys.
Dennis Lee opened the
Alan.
batting when he had that stress fracture back in the 70s.
Alan, I've started watching cricket only in 2003, 2004, so I wouldn't have known about Dennis Lilly. I'm
need
from
to
the
go
younger.
further. Because he is the mastermind of fast bowling. So
Yeah, he must. I'm not
Not
denying
there,
that,
he's
but
not
I'm
there,
saying
definitely.
I wouldn't know it because I'm saying I wouldn't know it because I wasn't even born then.
But hang on a minute. I wasn't
You know
born
what?
when
I
Bradman
wasn't
played,
born-
but I know
I
all about
wasn't
Bradman.
born in
I don't know whether that
1950
washes, Gil.
or
I don't know whether that washes because
1950. I know who John Bradman is.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Chris, 1908 has significance for 2 reasons. 1908 was the year that rugby league started with the South Rabbitohs, but who was born in 1908? What cricketer?
Don Bradman.
Exactly. Rather coincidental that my favourite team and Don Bradman were born in the first year, the same year. Interesting. All right, Simon, your thoughts on what's happening with English cricket, the county cricket scene? You've had Will Young. Why I'm asking is because Will Young is in the mix for this particular match, okay? And he played
he's not.
county cricket.
He's not in the squad.
Will Young,
He's not. He's not in the New Zealand 15. I don't think so.
are you
Oh,
sure?
Lord.
I am just checking, but I think he's not.
I think he is. I think he is actually.
Here is the man of voice. Naresh, hello, how are you?
Hello, hi, Alan, hi, Norman.
Hi,
No,
Naresh.
he's
We've been joined by Naresh and Keshav. They're both some of the Indian regulars that I've had on over a period of time, and it's good to have them on. I think officially Alan and I will have to represent New Zealand, and Simon and Chris can be the adjudicators. How about that?
Hi, Simon, hi, Chris. Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm
Nice to meet
Ethan, by the way.
Keshav, have you've met Simon before?
No, I have
No.
not.
No.
Okay. Formal introductions. Keshav's got his own YouTube channel. He's a music genius. He's actually put together songs for the IPL. He can put a great rendition of everything from Friends right through to Elton John. Simon, of course, he can do the same, but on a cricket field. He has the ability to actually orchestrate cricket teams, coaching, mentoring, the whole thing. The Sri Lankan girls think the world of him. And Chris Vernon is Chris Vernon. He's played at Lords recently, plays for Seven Oaks Vine. He claims that he beat the SCG 11, but that was probably rigged. There's probably a bit of ball tampering that went on that match, but other than that, no, it's been great. All right, guys, both Naresh and Keshav, you're from, again, Mumbai, and Naresh, you're from Pune, aren't you?
I'm from Pune, yeah.
Not too far.
Yeah, not too far
Not
at
far
all.
at all. And Gil, where are you? You're obviously Delhi.
Delhi.
Well, as a very fresh face to my team, Darren Brown, who's a South Rugby League player, he keeps getting Delhi and Delhi mixed up. I have to correct him every time. He's calling it Delhi, which is interesting. All right, I'm gonna get.
Naresh, stop laughing. I'm still killing my ass.
He's smiling. He's smiling, not laughing. Okay, Chris.
I when I was about to enter the room, I just heard Gil saying that Will Young is not a part of 15, but he's actually a part of 15.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
sure
He's
you're
there,
right.
yeah.
I got that part wrong. Right.
So you stand corrected. I was actually right. I knew it. So
Yeah.
Okay.
For
back to Simon before we get to Chris.
once, you're right.
Let me control the voices here. Simon, Will Young played county cricket, played very well, I believe, scored some decent runs. Should he or should he not be considered for this match?
Look, there's a lot of talk about who can play for who. Obviously, Alan came over from Perth and played for England, and there are a lot of other players that have come over.
I was born in Southend.
Absolutely, but there's a player that I recently was involved with, a guy called Charlie Hemphrey, who was born in the UK, was on the academy at Kent, and then went out and played for Queensland for a couple of years, and now can't come back and play county cricket. So the regulations.
Oh, I didn't know. Was that COVID or?
No, the regulations, because he's played as a local now in Australia. He's classed as an overseas player.
We can have Norman. Sorry, Simon. Yes, I'm with you, Norman. We have a great chat about that in 1988. We have a great chat about that with Martin Nicholas. Maybe during the Ashes, we'll have a chat.
Yeah,
we'll come back to that.
I was Australian. Yeah, carry on.
Okay, so Simon.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. You know, for me, that the regulations change regularly. So if you qualify at that time to play, then you've got to take advantage of it. You're a professional cricketer. It's a short career, and you've got to go where the money is. So for me, I have no problems with it at all. Andrew Simons was someone who I played and coached with. He came over to Gloucestershire.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Simon, Norman, calm down. I'm going to say.
I'm calm down, Al. Say what are you going to say?
Peacock.
Peacock.
That word you said.
Peacock, yes, peacock. Right.
And the guys, blah blah blah. Right. I'm going to have sit down with Norman on the beach here in Perth at Scarborough at some point and go through all of that. So I've been there.
Good,
and done
we'll do that.
That's an exclusive.
But Peacock,
That's
as I said, Peacock. All right.
Now,
Simon. So Will Young, do you think Peacock, Alan? Will Young? Have you seen him play?
No more. With Graham Gooch, the England coach at the time, I'll say no more. Peacock, Norman. Peacock. And Simon, that will blow your mind.
Simon, go for it.
I do think he should play. No problems at all with it. You know, even Dean Conway came over and played for Somerset Twos, trying to get a Colpack deal over here. So, like I say, you've got to go where the opportunities are, and I have no problems at all with it.
Simon, just quickly, Norman, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you.
You might go Peacock about 25 times with what I know about what happened, and 30 odd years. Yep. Okay.
All right. So Simon, if you were to have Will Young in the team, what would be the changes?
Well, that's a tough one for me. I'm not really. I haven't been watching it closely enough, Norman, over the last few weeks, if I'm honest. So probably
okay.
Chris.
But anyway, we'll leave that for the moment. Chris, what would let Chris talk, Alan. Chris, what would your team be? Give me your
New Zealand team.
Yes, the New Zealand team.
I guess it just depends. If you want to play Will Young, Henry Nicholls probably has to make way. I think that's the only slot, isn't it? Because they're going to probably play 4-5 bowlers. I think BJ Watling has said it's his last test. Is that right? Has he announced he's going to retire? Right. So he obviously will play over Blundell. Williamson comes back in. I think that's the problem for Will Young, is that he's playing in a spot that is, in Kane Williamson's slot. So you're not going to drop Ross Taylor. The two opening bats are pretty solid. So I just don't see how he gets in this particular team. So I imagine it will just probably be as close to the first test matches, with maybe Bolt coming in for the Grandhome when they play 4 seamers.
So you're bringing in Bolt for the Grandhome. Wouldn't you leave the Grandhome in and just put Bolt in? Because
he played the first test. Wagner, Bolt, Saudi,
Darryl Mitchell will also go out.
Yeah. So it depends if they might play 5 seamers. I don't know. They might play the Grandhome then to bat playing Mitchell's slot and leave Bolt in and bring Jameson in for Henry, I guess. I imagine they'll play the 4-5 seamers with the weather, with India's potential batting lineup that might struggle a bit in these conditions. I see New Zealand, loading up where they think they can win it, and probably bowling is where they see that they can really take advantage against the Indian batting lineup.
We brought the best point about this, and I'm going to make this clear. And I think Gil and Naresh and Keshav and Alan have heard me say this before. The reality is the best players should be selected for this match, regardless of whether they are the 2 spinners of Jadeja and Ashwin or the 4-5 bowlers of the New Zealand pace attack. The reality is that they're going to pick their best players, and their best players in this particular case for New Zealand are not spinners, and in the case of India, their 2 best bowlers are spinners. And that's the way they're going to select their teams. I think that's the key to this. Alan, go on mute, mate. Alan. Doesn't matter. All right. Yeah. Alan, if you're going to talk to your mum, go on mute, please. Okay? All right? Okay. Because in fact, I must be honest with you guys. My mother's in the next room calling up to me as we're speaking, which is quite funny. All right. Okay. Now, Naresh, what's your take on what you're saying?
But bear in mind, Simon, hang on,
Naresh?
Simon, Keshav,
Yes,
Naresh,
yes.
Chris,
Yes, Norman.
everybody.
What's your take on the sides? We've talked a bit about it. Tell us about your sides, Naresh.
Yeah, so for me, it's Latham and Conway to start with, Williamson, Taylor, and Nicholas at 5. That makes it 3 left-handers in the top 5. And then you have Watling for sure. It's his farewell game. I don't think it's still rained in Southampton. There has been no rain even today yet, though there was a forecast. That's why I feel there may be a toss between de Grandin and Ajaz Patel. And then the 4 seamers in Wagner, Saudi, Trent Bolt, and Jameson.
So,
And other thing on India's 2 spinners, I would say India is playing 1 spinner in Ashwin and playing an all-rounder in Jadeja. So, he's going to be a very, very critical player in any format, in any game, in any conditions.
So effectively, I like the way you put that. It's actually not 2 spinners; it's a spinner and an all-rounder, like a de Grandin of sorts. That's well put. I like that. Keshav, what's your thoughts? I know you had a girl on your show the other day. What was her story? She was a New Zealand fan.
Yeah, she used to work at India Today, and she's been following in. She's been a New Zealand fan for almost 15 years or so, and even in an India-New Zealand game, she actually goes for New Zealand. So you can just understand.
Was it Shritama?
Yeah, Shritama. She's actually quite famous on Twitter, but right now she has deactivated her account because of all the Twitter hatred she gets for supporting New Zealand over India in this final. But yeah, so
I suppose she'll be back tomorrow on Twitter.
I don't know, but yeah, it was a great session with her. And we also discussed the possible 11 for both the teams. And I and she both agreed that New Zealand might actually go with Ajaz Patel because, you don't want to do the same mistake that England actually did without playing any spinners. Doesn't matter what kind of conditions or pitch is, you have to have at least one good wicket taking or, at least somebody who can hold one end at least. You need that sort of a spinner. We Indians did the same mistake of underestimating Moeen Ali at Southampton in 2014 and 18. I just hope that if Ajaz Patel plays, we don't really take him for granted and end up giving him wickets on day 4 or 5.
So, Simon, what's your thoughts on the fact that they didn't have a spinner in the English lineup and they used Root?
Yeah, I disagreed with that selection for the reasons just mentioned. Really, just for some variety, some change, and also to give seamers some rest. So yeah, it was interesting. You got 2 Yorkshiremen running the show now in Chris Silverwood and Joe Root, and I know at Yorkshire over the years. They had a lot of success with that strategy. But yeah, it's not been too successful in English conditions for a while now. So obviously Stokes not playing, just the balance of the team is affected massively, because normally they'd have Stokes in there to bowl 10 to 15 overs an innings as the fourth seamer. So that makes life a little bit more difficult for them.
Yeah. So, but is it a lesson to be learned to not have Ajaz Patel in the side? Because I don't think, okay, he bowled okay in the second match. Of course, they won the match. But if someone like Rishabh Pant takes toll on Patel early on when he's bowling stint and hits him out of the attack, they're down a bowler. I think there's more risk in that than the concept of variety. And you've got very good bowlers. Now, DeGrunholm is a winner, and he's like an Ian Botham in terms of the ability. He can, maybe he's not Ian Botham, but he's close in the ability to be able to win a match as a batter or bowler. That's why I'm saying that. Al.
Norman. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we all can hear you.
It's going to be a washout. It's going to be a washout. Chris, get off your phone. It's going to be a total washout. In my experience, oh, hello, I might play for my country. I might have a rough idea about my home ground. The Rose Bowl, the Rose Bowl. I might have a rough idea. It's going to be a washout.
It's sad, isn't it, that we're even talking about it? I'm really sad that that's going to be the case. What is the weather, Chris? You can be, Munchie's usually our forecaster, because Munchie's not online. What's
I think the forecast is just 60-70% chance pretty much most days of rain, but I think Friday's going to be a complete Armageddon.
Chris,
I think, so.
No, it's going to be a washout. Been there, done that. Trust me. Game over.
I hope not. It would be a horrific way to end this game. I couldn't think of anything worse. Well, okay, if there's going to be a day or two that's washed out, there's still enough time to win this match, because they're going to effectively, if they have 2 days washed out, that leaves 4 days of play.
Norman, I played the game. Might have played the odd test match, apparently. Wash out, game over.
I would just agree with Alan here, because see, the amount of rain, if the forecast is going to be correct, even though we have the 6th day in place for completing the overs that have been lost to rain, I think if at all it's a draw and we have joint winners, just to look at it in a different perspective, maybe for Indian and New Zealand fans, it won't be the worst thing in the world, because look at New Zealand, 2015 World Cup final, 2019 World Cup final, lost. India losing the knockout since 2018.
Kishav, I agree with you. You're a legend. I agree. They're two.
But okay, Alan, wait your turn. Alan, wait your turn, please. Keshav, you've got a point there.
And Chris,
I think there's a few people here that are actually not going to agree with you on that, because I don't think India or New Zealand would be happy about a tie. New Zealand in particular would be vehemently upset with yet again another final not winning.
No. If it's a draw, they'll be joint winners. So it's not like
that's not really a win. That's not a win.
Yeah, I mean, I just said if it's joint winners, then both Indian and New Zealand fans won't be as heartbroken if they were to lose another final.
And they wouldn't be as ecstatic or elated if they won outright as well.
It's easy to say right now, but come the end of the game, one side has to be on the losing side. I think a lot of hearts will be broken yet again.
Chris, would you be happy with a tied win, joint winners?
It doesn't really make any bones to me from a loyalty point of view to either side. Obviously, would rather see New Zealand win it, but it'd just be a shame for a cricket perspective, won't it, if it does get washed out? I'm pretty sure they've got a spare day if a day gets washed out. Did I see they've got the 6th day they can play on? I think so. I guess if a day is washed out, at least they can play on.
The Rose Bowl?
I have played the Rose Bowl.
Pardon?
It's not a matter of who plays there or not, Alan. It's a matter that we're talking as commentary on this match.
Have you been to the Rose Bowl? Do you live there in Hampshire? I kind of have a rough idea.
Okay. Okay, now we'll go back to what we were talking about.
By the way, Simon,
No.
sorry, Norman, I saw Chris's bowling action. Oh, my Lord.
Okay, Alan, I'll just look at the message I've sent you. I'm
Hang
sending
on,
you a
Norman.
message.
Chris, let's have a laugh, right? No, Chris, I saw your bowling action. What on earth was that?
No,
All right. Okay. Done. Let's move on. Okay, guys. We were talking now. I think we just lost Alan. So we just talked a bit further about the situation. Back to you, Chris. Chris, look up. I know you're trying to show us the hat.
No, I was just trying to not quite listen to these certain
No, it's
dribbles
okay.
coming out of
Could
one
you-
corner of my
Chris,
screen. But there we go.
Can you stand up, please, and turn around? Let me see what you. I want to see the back of your shirt.
I don't know how well you can see it. I have to sort
We
of.
don't want to see
squat
it back.
down. No?
All right, so I kind of see it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, get close. An Aussie and a Pom talk all things India. There we go.
There we go. I'm like a model.
All right. We've all got very quiet there. Gil, Naresh,
Yeah.
you guys are you're in the
No,
middle of a World
I
Test
was-
Championship eve. You should be.
I was just going to say that I'll take your leave now. You've been here for an hour, and I spoke what I had to say about the 11 and what are the possible trouble that both the sides could have. Like I mentioned, how Pujara really doesn't have a great record against New Zealand. He's been dismissed 4 times by Bolt, twice by Jamieson, 3 times by Southey. So that's a concern there. And like I'd spoken, a couple of days ago, that if there is no spinner, then the Indian batting could be under a lot of pressure. So yeah, that's about it. And now I think I'll leave and leave the 5 of you to discuss more about the game tomorrow, as well as what are the issues that plague the English batting lineup, which we were discussing before.
Exactly.
And I'll wait for the T-shirt that you're going to send me.
Now, is it are you wanting a T-shirt? Are you wanting you want to you mean the World Test Championship one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, well that's you'll get that. All right. How clever was Norman? He went ahead and thought, well, these shirts are invaluable. I think dated time. Let's hope there's a match. Chris, I hope there's a match. Please tell me there's going to be a match.
Let's hope there's a match.
You'll get the majority of the match, and you'll get Friday will be a washout. If they've got the extra day, then you might get some showers during the match. So I reckon you're going to get 4 days cricket in out of the 5. Overs
Which
wide.
is still enough.
Yeah.
What about toss? Like, what do you think team winning the toss should do?
Pretty tough from over here. Again, if Friday, if it rains tomorrow all day, the pitch is going to be under cover. And like I said earlier, down at the Rose Bowl, it depends about overhead conditions with the Duke's ball. So if it's overcast and been under cover for a couple of days, you win the toss and you'll generally have a bowl.
But have you lived and played at the Rose Bowl, Simon? Do you know a bit or?
I've never lived or played on the Rose Bowl, but I've certainly been there a few times. So
do you think if India picked 2 spinners, that it kind of forced their hand that they have to bat first to bring the 2 spinners into the game more? Do you think that would be their tactic? If they're going to play 2 spinners, you need to make the most of it, and that's typically going to be in the 4th, 5th day, last innings of a match. So do you think do you think they almost have to? Do you think that it's a risk to then bowl first? Because it potentially negates 2 of, possibly the biggest threat of the 2 spinners.
Well, either team has got to work out what's the best way of winning the game, given the pitch, the overhead conditions, and the time left in the match. So for me, I think it's a wait and see policy. But my gut feel is potentially if you win the toss, you're going to have a bowl first.
I just wanted to ask everyone. So, if we assume that Tim Southee, Trent Bolt, and Neil Wagner are a given in the 11, and New Zealand, of course, if they choose to go with Ajaz Patel, so that leaves just one spot for another bowler. Who do you think it's going to be? Matt Henry, who was man of the match, Kyle Jamieson, who hurt India quite a bit the last time India toured New Zealand, or Grandhomme, their old horse, who's been doing the job for so many years?
Jameson's 100%. Jameson will be playing. He's not up for debate. Jameson will 100% be playing in that side with Bolt. They'll play Bolt, Wagner, Southee, and Jameson. I have zero doubt about that. So it's to Grandhomme, Henry, or the spinner. I don't see them not playing those four quicks at all. Jameson's averaging 12 or something in Test cricket in England. Bowled well at Lords. I assume they rested him to keep him fresh for that game. There's 0% chance that those four don't play, in my opinion.
But don't you think, Chris, that number 7 would be a bit too high for him to bat at?
Well, that's if they play De Grandhomme. De Grandhomme can bat 7. So that's the way they might go. But I think that they'll see that their top 6.
No, so that means you're not going with Ajaz Patel then?
I think with the weather around, and it was quite clear that they were, I think at Edgbaston it's different because I think you have to play a spinner there, which I don't have a clue why England didn't. But that's a different time. At the Rose Bowl in these conditions when it's going to be raining, I just can't see. I think that they'll just look at the 4 seamers they've got and say they're going to offer way more than an Ajaz Patel is against India, who typically are going to be better players of spin. So what's our strength? Where can we get India? And that's going to be an all-out pace attack, I imagine.
I thought if they're going with 5 seamers, leaving the spinner out, then they might actually go with Matt Henry because of the performance that he put in the second game, and also the scars he left on India in the 2019 World Cup. Again, that was in England in these conditions. The ball was doing quite a bit on that second morning when India started batting. So maybe just to sort of reignite the old scars, they might actually put Henry ahead of Grandhomme.
I think that De Grandhomme is the reason why he's in there, and I think Chris and the like would agree that he's in there because of his all-round capabilities. Not only his bowling, but his batting, and he bowls a very good seam. He doesn't have to bowl pace necessarily, but if he gets his accuracy right, he can be as deadly as a faster bowler. And I must quickly say hello to James Dean, who's one of our members. I haven't heard from him a while, so I'm glad he's back. I'm still wondering whether that's your dad, Chris.
Who bounced the boy?
I spoke to your dad, Richard, just a minute ago. So
okay.
Is he back? I'm not seeing him.
He's on now.
He's on. He just said hello.
Okay. All right. So, I'm intrigued why you're saying that. Matt Henry bowled fantastically in the second match. Deserved player of the match. He certainly put himself in contention. But how could you not have the 4 bowlers that were in there and De Grandhomme? It's very hard to crack that top.
If you're picking De Grandhomme just so that he can bat better than these guys, I think if you have Jamieson at 7, Henry at 8, and maybe then Wagner and Southee, these guys are no mug with bat. I mean, they can hold bat all right. We have seen what Wagner did at number 10 the other day. So if these guys are there from 7 to 10, I think that's enough depth in the batting. I mean, yes, Grandhomme might be a better batsman, in terms of the caliber. But even with Grandhomme, the kind of batting he does, it's a hit and miss kind of thing. It's 50-50. You can't really rely on him at 7. Something which you can do with people like Watling or Nicholls at 5 and 6.
What was the bowling lineup at Lords?
De Grandhomme was in the side. In fact, they had everyone else but Trent Bolt. And they
had Santner, Jamieson. They batted quite deep there.
But Santner is injured and he's been dropped, you can effectively say.
Correct.
So he's out of the question. Patel and Henry bowled very well in the second test match and they won the match. But in terms of the mix for this final, with all due respect, I think you've got a very good set of points. But I think the less destabilised the teams are, the better it's going to be for these matches. And that's India's philosophy for sure. Their batting lineup is going to be rock solid the way they've had it for some time. And New Zealand will do the same. And that's I mean, look, we talked about people who will be retiring. You mentioned BJ Watling, but Ross Taylor, if he wins this cup or this trophy or this sabre or whatever it is, he will actually probably retire as well, because he said he was a guy. He would have done that in the 19 World Cup, but the fact that they didn't win it kept him and spurred him on to play till the stage.
How old is he? I mean, I think he can easily play another World Test Championship cycle.
He said no. He said in an interview only a few days ago that he was about to retire in 19, but because he didn't win the World Cup, he considered moving on.
Was it from white ball or from all cricket?
Oh, well, all cricket actually.
He's 37, Ross Taylor, I think. So he's certainly no.
37.
He'll probably do the T20 franchise gig for a couple of years, I would suggest, probably.
Are you sure he's 37? I don't think so.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
Yeah.
I think the problem New Zealand have with picking 5 seamers is that if you take Devon Conway out of the first test, you know, the rest of them didn't do much. You know, England pretty much ran through, especially on the second day, ran through New Zealand. And even in the first test, you know, they were 200 and something for 3 and then 3 something all out. So England certainly exposed the middle lower order in English conditions. So they might just be wary of picking someone like a de Grandhomme in there to just strengthen the batting a little bit, because I know that India has the potential to run through. Because, as I said, take Conway out. I think, do they get 380 at Lords? 380, and he got 200 of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, the rest of them didn't contribute loads. So I think they'll just be wary that the batting is in good shape, but, you know, they'll be relying on Williamson. And Taylor looked all over the place, didn't he, really? You know, I know he got 80 odd, but he's certainly not a good starter, as they made it quite clear on the radio and on Sky. So I think they'll be worried that if they go in with a really long tail, then that could bite them on the backside if India win the toss or if India bowl.
Naresh.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Chris said. It's the importance of the toss. So if whichever team bats first, is very important they bat the entire first day. That's going to be very critical. Otherwise, then the opposition is going to dictate the rest of the match. So both the sides would like to have a good batting lineup, at least up to number 7, 8, who can do that for them to ensure that the first day is really played out well. And if they play 5 seamers, you may have one really getting very underutilized. So why not Patel or de Grandhomme, where the variety would come in a bit, and de Grandhomme definitely will help a lot with the bat also. So that's my thought, that 5 seamers would be an overdue of seam attack, because if the first 4 cannot do it, the 5th is going to be very tough to make a difference.
I'll just put another point here. See, if they are going just with loyalty, then I guess Grandhomme will get a go in this game, because just like how we are looking at India, I mean, people are comparing that, India might have to decide between a Siraj and a Nishant. But if you look at loyalty and how Ishant has been serving in Test cricket since 2007, if you go just by that, I think Ishant will be the first choice. Same way, I think for New Zealand, I think de Grandhomme made his Test debut in 2016 against Pakistan, picking up a 5-for as well on debut. So he's been doing that job for them at 7, bowling whenever needed and providing that late sort of thrust before the new ball maybe. So if they are looking at him as well, this game for him as like a final hurrah, then probably I think the final 11, you will see a lot of, you won't see a lot of changes. I mean, you will see a very predicted 11 for both India and New Zealand.
The reality is that despite form, they're clearly on form at the moment. Williamson and Kohli aren't playing well. You'd have to argue.
I think, Norman, with Williamson, I think the other problem is his a little bit of injury as well. I mean, he has to look fit, and that also adds to your form. I think if you're not in good form, and then on the top of that, if you're injured, I think that also adds to your woes, isn't it?
That's true. But what I'm getting at is, you would argue Ross Taylor batted okay in the last performance, but in general, Taylor, Williamson, Kohli, and even Rahane are in a shining form, are they, for the respective teams? But you couldn't leave them out, even though Young's playing well, and you could argue some other Indian batters are playing very well. They're not going to leave them out. It's a fact. It's still the best team in terms of the history of the way they've played. What do you think, Simon, about that? What do you think about when a player of note is not playing well? How do you approach that? You certainly wouldn't drop Williamson. We know that. You wouldn't drop Coley. But they both have not performed for some time.
Yeah, and players fluctuate, don't they? I think Steve Smith going into a series once said, I'm not out of form, I'm just out of runs. So players can be hitting the ball really well in practice and in the nets, they're just not translating that into runs. So, these two players are world-class players, and you would expect one of them, or if not both of them, to come to the party on this big occasion. So, they get generally 4 innings, 2 innings each. So I'm hoping that, a big occasion brings the best out of them.
I think India will also be a bit disappointed. They get here, they have a warm-up game when it's been 25, 30 degrees, no doubt on a flat wicket, and they go into the game and it's pouring down, it's going to be green, it's going to swing around corners. Imagine that although their warm-up game would have been good practice, that it probably would have been quite flat, good for the batters, and yet they're going to rock up at the Rose Bowl and the conditions are going to be completely, I think that they'll be slightly nervous about that because India typically don't go well on these wickets that swing around and nibble a bit. And, I think they would have rather had a warm-up game where it was a green top, but it swung and gave their batters a load of difficult. But then again, you don't get your batters any runs. So it's tough to know what suits best. But I can't imagine that it would have been a green top in the practice game. I think it was at Leicester. Was that right? Was it at Leicester? I can't remember what it was. But I imagine that it was probably quite a flat wicket. And I think their batters could, even if they got out, they didn't have to go out. So although they've obviously made the most of it, I think that they'll be slightly nervous that it's going to be going into probably something completely different to what they've practiced on in the last week or so, because the weather, as Simon said earlier, it's been hot. It's been good batting weather.
There are two. Okay. There's comments about Jadeja. There's also comments about Rishabh Pant. The reality is, we all are leaning towards, in all fairness, New Zealand are the favoured team to win this, okay? For a number of reasons, both in terms of the level of practice, the conditions, the bowling attacks, etc., and the vulnerability of the Indian batting lineup without much practice. We all lean in favour of New Zealand, but then you have people like Rishabh Pant and Jadeja who can pull the rabbit out of the hat. And that's where the excitement comes into this match. That we really can say our head's saying New Zealand, but our heart somewhat is saying India. Or at least that's the way I'm looking at it. There's an aspect of, and don't say Chris because I'm favouring India. I'm not saying that. But the reality is, it's more to do with the fact that New Zealand should break their hoodoo of winning a World Cup final. But we know that the unpredictability of an Indian batting line with Rishabh Pant could do anything and pull it out of the fire. I find this extremely exciting. I really do.
I just wanted to make a point. Like we were talking about how Kohli and Rahane are not in form compared to New Zealand. But I think for a whole Indian team, like they haven't played for more than a month since IPL ended. And even before that, they were playing red ball T20 cricket. So to comment on somebody's form, I think it's probably not applicable because that way, no one of these guys have played Test cricket for so long. So,
Williamson certainly has.
No. I'm talking about Indian team. I'm talking about Indian team.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm taking it back to the form of some of the Indian batters on English conditions with the ball seaming and moving. It's not that they're not batting well. It's more the opposite. They're batting too well. They actually play at a ball and actually get bat on ball, even though it's an edge. Is quite an achievement, wouldn't you say, Simon or Chris? To get an edge onto a Duke ball.
No, I think that it's a poor technique, isn't it? Really, that's why the Aussies struggle because they're used to the quicker wickets where you don't have to move your feet as much. Whereas in England, you have to play the ball later. You have to move your feet late. It's a different game. It's like saying in Australia, Jimmy Anderson bowling half volleys. It's an achievement because that's what does well in England. He pitches the ball up and gets nicks. But in Australia, that you don't. You have to bowl that slightly more first-class length where it doesn't swing. So I think that there's a lot to prove. I think that there's a lot to prove in that Indian batting lineup. I said it in the India-England series over there that England being so poor with the bat papered over the cracks of India's batting lineup because in that series, England competed with the ball. It would be harsh to say that India's batting lineup was great. You know, I don't think anyone. I think Sharma got 100, Pant got obviously 100, and Ashwin got 100, but Gill didn't do much. Kohli didn't do a lot. So I think a few of them have got something to prove this summer, and Rishabh Pant is one of them for sure. You know, he's scored all of his runs so far. He got 100 in England on a flat wicket at the Oval. He's got runs in Australia and in India on better batting wickets. So if it is going to swing around a bit, then his technique will come into question, because you can't just come in from ball one if it's swinging around, plant your foot and just try and whack it, because it doesn't work. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go and what sort of approach India have, because I think they would have done a lot of studying. No IPL, they'd have had a lot of time to look at the computers, look at the bowling and work out what their tactics are. And I would imagine that you might see India coming out with a slightly different game plan to what you might see at home.
I think the other thing, Norman, to remember is that it's called Test cricket for a reason. It's not called easy cricket, and this is the difference between white ball and red ball, particularly in England. So for me, the art of batsmanship against the red ball is going to be the difference between the two sides.
Yeah, and Norman, we all know how important Rohit Sharma is to India. But this is going to be the first game in England he's going to open as in a test match. He's never opened in test match in England. Rather, in Australia was the first time overseas as an opener. He's done very well in India as an opener. So even Rohit Sharma has lots to prove this entire tour of UK. And you know, we were convinced that he did well in Australia because Mayank Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw both failed miserably. But as per Rohit's standards, those innings could have been really a longer one. And that is what he needs to focus on in playing very long innings overseas. He did well in the Chennai test back home, but that he needs to take it for this particular game. It's very important how he plays this final for the rest of his UK tour.
You know, I have a little point as well. I think for India, I'm also worrying a little because India haven't played in England in June for a long time. I mean, the last time they probably played in June, I think it was in '96 or something, when Ganguly and Dravid made their debut.
That long?
Yeah, they haven't played in test matches. Usually it's a marquee series and it starts at the prime time of summer for England. So usually it's July and August. It goes on till September if you see the last two tours. So England in August is completely different ball game altogether compared to June. So now you're playing directly the World Test Championship final in June. And if you compare both teams, I think New Zealand will be having that advantage, because not just that they played these two test matches against England in June, but also they have very similar conditions back home. So if this game was happening probably in July or August, I would have probably seen this contest as 50-50. But right now, because it's June and it's forecast, those sort of things I think might go against India.
Okay, I have a point to make here, and I'm hearing murmurings in a general sense about the lack, and even Chris mentioned it, a few others have mentioned about the lack of practice that India have had, New Zealand had practice, and therefore in favour of New Zealand. I accept that. That's probably not the fairest way of approaching this. But we've got to remember that in any World Cup or any form of final, there are all sorts of obstacles both teams have to overcome. Even the way that India overcame what happened to the Gabba with 9 players out, or England overcame players out, or both of them back in the day when he was out of form, whatever it might have been, and coming out and winning a series. The reality is you're judged by how you perform in the day. And I think that India have an opportunity here, as do New Zealand, but India have an opportunity here to stake a claim on Test cricket in the most emphatic way possible with winning the first World Test Championship. And if India do that, that sets a great milestone for India. And there's so much for India to play for. India should be going out there, all guns blazing, and attacking this match as if it's their last match. So should New Zealand. This match is extremely important. And I find that, to me, that's something that I would agree upon. Look, Simon's had to go. He's been fantastic to have Simon back. And we've gone for an hour and a half, which is a great amount of time for Simon to be here. How are you going, Chris? Do you feel a bit fatigued about being back on screen for an hour and a half?
A little bit. I've got some work to do, so I'll give it another 5 minutes, but I might have to head off as well if that's all right.
That's all right. So, Chris, just from your side of things, our an Aussie and a Pom talks everything cricket. We'll have to have a 15th episode coming up soon, won't we?
Yeah, we'll definitely fit something in for sure. We definitely will.
Okay. All right. So this has been, can I let you guys know, we've had about close to 30,000 viewers.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I've just looked at the numbers. We're just shy of 30,000. And I can thank you for the guests that I've had. We're going to be talking, but Kesha and Naresh, we're going to be talking a bit longer if you've got time as well. But Chris, I'm happy. Do you say you like the gear?
Yeah, it's smart. Yeah, no, definitely. No, it's very cool. I do like it.
But you like the cup the best, do you?
Yeah, I think cup's the coolest. Yeah, without a doubt. Can't moan about the
And
cup.
I'll be getting stuff to you, Naresh and Kesha. I'm getting a second batch of stuff. Chris's was the first batch, but we'll get. What would you guys like? Would you like shirts, caps? What's your go?
I would like a mug and a jacket.
Oh, the jacket's very popular with the Indians. I can say that. I don't know why. When are you going to wear a bloody jacket in your heat, for God's sake?
It's not hot in Mumbai right now because monsoon has started in the next 3 months. There are days when we don't even need fans, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been raining today. Pune has got rains throughout the day. Yeah.
Same here in Mumbai.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, we got rains now. Yeah.
Just quickly, Chris, before you go, and Ray's asked a question about Sibley, Crawley, and Pope. With an eye on the India-English series and also the Ashes, Crawley is still going to say he hasn't batted well, hasn't got many runs, but if he clicks, he could be anything, couldn't he? He's still that good a batter.
Yeah, he's very highly rated in the England setup. We know that, so I think he's going to get given a slightly longer crack at it, if that makes sense. I like Rory Burns. I think that he's had good form this summer. You know, I think that the duck he got in the second innings, Edgbaston, was the first time in 8 innings he hadn't gone past 50 potentially in first class cricket. So, you know, he's been in good form. So I see that Burns generally plays the seam bowling quite well. So in terms of going to Australia this winter and against India this summer, I see him being a pretty permanent fixture. So they've just got to work out what they want to do with Sibley, really. It's a tricky one.
But Ollie Pope, I think I'd be the most disappointed in Ollie Pope, to be honest.
He's another guy. I mean, he averages over 60 in first class cricket. Still a young lad, though, isn't he? So
yeah,
they're going to give him as many chances as he needs, really, I think. So I imagine that you'll see Ollie Pope in the summer. Whether or not they then try and maybe bat Dan Lawrence at 3, or whether he makes way for Stokes or Butler, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what they'll do, to be honest.
The interesting thing is, okay, there's two points that have been brought through on the commentary. I think Ray and a few others have asked about. We haven't talked about Bumrah at all. In fact, out of all the bowlers from both India and New Zealand, we've talked heavily about the New Zealand bowling lineup, where the Shami, Ishant and Siraj are playing, but there's been very little discussion about Bumrah. What do you think of Bumrah's? He's been out for a while for various reasons. What's the thoughts on Bumrah's impact on this match?
The reason people are not really talking about him as much, it's first of all, it's because his place in the team is unquestioned, right? A lot of people are talking about Shami and Siraj and Ishant because India might have to choose 2 out of 3 of them. But Bumrah's place is unquestioned, and everyone knows like he's the leader of the pack, and he's probably India's biggest weapon when it comes to the bowling attack. So he kind of goes under the carpet because he keeps performing consistently, and especially playing in England, it's such an unusual thing that he has been playing Test cricket for over 3 years and he has never played a Test in India. He has always played overseas. So I think having played all his games overseas as well, going to help him in this final. He played in the 2018 series as well. I think picked up a 5-4 in Nottingham where we won the game. So Bumrah, I think he will be the key, and the reason why nobody is really talking about him, it's because he just comes day in, day out and does his job.
Yeah, he does. But if he bowls to his absolute potential, he could be the match winner on his own, couldn't he? He could turn the match in India's favour, despite the fact that New Zealand have got 4 or 5 bowlers that are in that limelight at the moment. He could be the one that could really turn the match. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think I said in the India series just gone, I think even before the first test on one of our shows, that he's going to take a lot more wickets overseas than he is in India, just because they don't really need him in India. You know, I really don't think you need any seamers in India. If those are the wickets that are going to be put out, you just pick Axar, Ashwin and Jadeja and maybe Ishant to break things up, and that's all that you need, really, especially if you play like a Hardik Pandya. But as I said, I've always said that he's going to take so many more wickets overseas, just because he's more of an English style seamer. You know, he pitches it up and he can swing it, and he's more of a threat that way. You know, he's going LBWs, he's going to try and nick people off. So he's a massive threat for sure. Whether or not if he can stay fit, or whether or not sides now, because his action's a bit different, isn't it? Now sides have picked up maybe just the technique to play, and whether or not he'll continue to be as successful. But I certainly see him being way more of a threat in England, in New Zealand, and Australia than he is going to be at home for sure.
Yeah, and look, I know that England are not in here, Chris. I appreciate that. But are you rather intrigued by this match? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I just like watching cricket, really. I'll make no bones about it who I want to win. You know, I'd love to see New Zealand win. And I think they played some good cricket. You know, England were poor in that second test, but the bowling, we bowled pretty well at Lord's. You know, I was there. Obviously, some interesting developments with Ollie Robinson and what happened with him. I don't know what the Indian media viewpoint is and all of that with what happened to him and what he did, but that's an interesting debate.
Quite harsh, really, wasn't it? It was very harsh.
Absolutely. India has its own fight with Twitter, so I don't think there's much to talk about what happened with Robinson. So it was very harsh on what happened. Yeah, I agree with Norman. So.
See, I just feel regardless of the result of this final, I just hope after this New Zealand starts getting more test matches, you know, when they tour, because I hardly see them play. I can't actually remember when was the last time they played a 4-match series or a 5-match test series. You know, the max they get is a 3-game series like they played in Australia in 2019. But other than that, if they tour India or India tours them, you get just 2 test matches. They toured England. They played England twice actually in the last couple of years. Once at home and once away. Both of the series were not a part of WTC cycle. So and both of them were 2-match series as well. So I just hope teams start taking New Zealand as, you know, a serious opposition and give them more test matches, because just look at BJ Watling. I mean, the lad has been playing for 10, 11 years potentially, and just played. I don't think he actually played even 80 tests or 90 tests. If he was playing for England or Australia or India, he would have gone past 100 tests easily.
So when New Zealand play England generally, Chris, how many test matches do they play?
Against
2?
New Zealand, it's usually 2 or 3, isn't it? Yeah.
That's pretty ordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree, but I think it's down to a money thing and TV rights, isn't it? You know, that it's clear that there's 3 big sides in Test cricket at the moment: England, Australia, India, and that's where the big series are. It's a shame, but I think even more of a case for Keshav is someone like Trent Boult or Tim Southee. You know, I think Tim Southee made his debut in 2008 and has played
2008, 2009. Yeah, he didn't have a good start to his career. Yeah,
and has played 78 tests. Yeah. Whereas if we look at Joe Root,
even Bolt was, you know, primed as a white ball bowler when he started, but later on he groomed himself to be a test bowler.
So that's interesting. So Tim Southee made his debut in 2008 and played 78 tests. Joe Root made his debut in 2012. 4 years later, and has played 105. So he's played 30 more tests in 4 years less, which just shows how much more Test cricket England are playing. Yeah. Someone like Tim Southee with another 30, 40 tests, you know, he's probably taking another 100, 150 wickets.
So a fair comparison will be, I think, Stuart Broad. He also made his debut in Tests, I think, in around the same time, 2007-8. And look at the number of wickets he has got, over 500. If Saudi would have played the same amount of games, he would have also gone past 500.
Yeah, Stuart Broad's played. 2007 made his debut. He's played 148 tests. So 1 year less, almost played double.
Yeah.
So it just shows, and that's why people like Williamson and Bolt and Southey are going to be fairly hard done by in terms of stats, because they just haven't played the cricket that these guys have. And I wouldn't say that Tim Southey's had loads of injuries. He's been fairly fit. He's a pretty fit lad, isn't he? So
Yeah.
it's just a shame to see them not playing, because I think you're denying the cricketing world good test series. But that's just the way it is, isn't it? With money and with everything that goes on. So
even with this, sorry, Norman. Even with this final, I find it a little bizarre, like how this is an ICC final event. It's a marquee trophy for the first time it's happening, and at the same time, you have so much of cricket going around as well. There's South Africa, West Indies going on. There's PSL going on. There is women's test matches as well. So I think this is also happening for the first time, because before you have never seen something like this. There's a ICC tournament final, and there is cricket going on as well. I mean, I don't know how ICC actually approved of other series being played simultaneously.
Look, if I'm going to defend such, the whole calendar, the way that COVID's torn things apart, there's been a lot of squishing going on.
There's a lot of backlog. Actually, they're making up for the backlog, the broadcasters, the players, the associations who host the games. So there's a lot of backlog getting, tightened up in 1 year. Yeah.
Harish, don't you think, like, even for the broadcasters, they will have a fair understanding of the fact that during 18th to 22 June, no one would care about what's happening in PSL or West Indies.
That's true. That's
no
true.
one will watch that.
Yeah.
So everyone will be logged in on Star Sports.
That's absolutely right. I mean, the last session at GABA, the fifth day, which was a working day here in India, though people work from home on a Tuesday, 10:30 in the morning, had the maximum viewership ever in a test cricket session,
Yeah.
I personally think this next test match we're about to see, and I'm getting, actually, Chris, your dad's just giving me a message. Did you see the message?
no.
This is from your dad. Just seeing the live weather forecast, okay? Rain clearing tomorrow, early, and then not too bad. So they're going to get play tomorrow. Saturday should be a full day.
That'll cheer Alan Lally up.
It's a pretty significant turnabout.
Yeah.
Lads, I'm going to have to shoot if that's all right. I've got a couple of bits to do, but it was nice to see you all again.
Thank you, Chris, very
Thanks,
much
Chris.
for coming on the show, and Simon the same. And Chris, if I could call you in about an hour's time, are you available to have a 5-minute chat?
Yeah, should be fine. Yeah, should be.
But you're gonna do me a favour. You're gonna take model-like photographs with your gear on.
We'll see. I'll get something
I
on.
want to post, Chris. Please bear with me. I want you to have. I want to have an outfit thing for me. If you could get a decent photograph with your dad or whatever, and have that done and send it to me so I can post it, it would be appreciated.
We'll sort something out for sure.
Okay. I'm not expecting anything semi-nude. I just want your clothes. All right.
Okay. No worries about that. All right, guys. No worries. Good to see you all.
Oh, thanks,
Bye,
Chris.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Guys, we can't go, guys. We can't leave that. This audience is ridiculous today. It has been absolutely ridiculous.
Now, Norman, do you see the excitement now? Indians are actually now getting excited because it's the eve of the final.
Well, I don't know. We have to see this as what it is. And I know India's getting excited, but I think you could get another level higher. You should get another, this is a World Cup. Let's rename the bloody thing. I hate World Test Championship, WTC. It's not the title. It should be Test World Cup. Test World Cup.
TWC.
You have T20 World Cup. You have 50 over World Cup. 50 over World Cup, correct? Why?
Yeah, but
ODI, yeah.
Why
For-
are we not calling it Test World Cup? Can you
For
explain
T20,
it?
for T20, don't they call it World T20?
No, well, really. When you you say T20 World Cup.
Okay.
Okay.
But Norman, you'll see that excitement going up the notch tomorrow at 3 p.m. Indian time once Kohli and Williamson walk out for toss.
Yeah.
So hang on a minute. So let's work this out. The game starts Indian time At
3.
what time?
3:30.
3:30, which is effectively 8 p.m. my time. So I'll be starting. Are you guys involved with Kesh, you're going to be your own pre-show? What have you got?
No, I'll only do the post show, not a pre-show.
Well, can you be on the pre-show tomorrow with us?
Yeah, sure.
Naresh, can you be on the pre-show? This is extremely important. Ben Cutting was
What time?
I luckily met Ben Cutting and Coogee a few days ago with his lovely wife Erin Holland. Erin Holland? You know who Erin Holland is?
Oh.
She's very famous on Indian TV. She's a reporter.
Yeah.
Not unlike
Okay.
Yeah, she's a very famous reporter. So
she was at PSL as well, I think.
Yeah, and the reality is, yes, she's a partner. So I met them casual on the streets of my favourite street, Coogee Bay Road, and Ben's coming on the show because I've known him for a long time. So he'll be great to have, obviously, with his KKR experience, his overall understanding of Test cricket as well. So we'll have him on shortly. So I'm not sure what day of the Test he'll be on, but he's got a lot of free time. The only problem is we've had a bit of a, would you believe, we had a COVID outbreak of 8 people. And we've gone into meltdown. Okay, we've gone into. I was actually in Bondi Junction, Westfield, about a couple of hours ago, and I went past the shop that's the Code Red shop, which is hilarious. So we've had 8 people, and apparently 5 have been positive, negative, or something, some sort of wrong reading. So we went into massive panic. So everybody who's here in Sydney who needs to go to Queensland are packing their bags and heading off. It's crazy. Can you believe how ridiculous that is compared to what's happening in your country?
Oh yeah, we are still at a 60,000 a day, which is the least in the last, say, about 70 days.
Can you imagine having a situation where you had only 8 cases? Now I'm gonna let someone rejoin now who was banned for a little while there.
So what time do you start the pre-show, Norman? What time do you start pre-show?
Well, if it's 3:30, is the starting time. It'll be 1:30 your time.
Oh, 2 hours prior. Oh,
so I'll go from 1:30 to the start of play.
okay.
All right, Alan, you're back on air. Alan,
Why'd you ban me?
I didn't ban you at all. No, only come back on. You're back on?
I'm in bed.
You're in bed. That's very relaxed. That's okay. All right. Yeah, Alan, it's always
The
good.
raw and the raw.
Don't talk about anything else. What we're talking about. Keshav, look up. I'm going to be like a school teacher here.
Actually,
All right. So we're going to have a pre-show on tomorrow.
I told you
At 1:30 my time,
Here
which
will be
is
the difference.
1:30 my time, which is 6 o'clock. No, sorry, 6 o'clock my time, 1:30 your time. Okay, guys, that's what we'll be doing. But Keshav and Naresh, you guys have to talk now. You guys have. I mean, Simon and that had good reason to talk about their England experience and their relationship. But it's your turn to sell to me why India should win, because there's still a fair degree of confidence that New Zealand winning or deserving to win. It's their time. It's no one's time. That's rubbish. No one has their time. You win or you lose. No one's given the gift of, it's your turn to win. Are they? I actually find that rather disturbing when someone says, it's New Zealand's turn. No, it's not. If New Zealand never win, that's their bad luck. South Africa have never won. Have they?
Yeah, look, if you just see the WTC cycle in the last 2 years, I think not just on paper, but on field as well, India has been the best team in the whole cycle, because they toured Australia with half strength team, and they still ended up winning there. They won against teams like England at home, which
So
go on, keep on.
Yeah, so if you look at New Zealand, so they just won one away test in Sri Lanka. They lost 3-0 to Australia. Yeah. They couldn't beat Bangladesh. They defeated Pakistan and West Indies at home in 2-match series. So the amount of competitive games India had, away and especially away, because at home even India played teams like South Africa, Bangladesh. So I don't think that counts for a lot, because Bangladesh is not that good in tests, and South Africa is not the same South Africa. So in just terms of pure opposition and the kind of cricket played in the last 2 years, India were a better team. But again, it comes down to the same sort of thing. Like in 2019, India topped the league and yet ended up losing in semi-final. The crunch moments, that's where the test of temperament comes. Like if you remember in 2011 World Cup, South Africa topped the group, and then they lost to New Zealand in that dramatic semi-final. So doesn't matter how good you have been in the league round, it's those moments in the knockout that really matters, and that's where I think India will have to come through this time. And I get a little bit more confident this time going in this, because I think Test cricket is that format where people have more confidence in Kohli as a captain. We all have some sort of doubts over his captaincy in white ball, especially in T20s. Everyone wants Rohit to be given the captaincy, but I think Test cricket is one format where he has been developing this team since taking over in 2014, 2015, and I think this is the pinnacle, and he takes Test cricket most seriously than other formats. So that's why it just gives me that extra little bit of confidence, which is always lacking when we go in a white ball tournament final.
Okay, I've just had an update, Keshav and Naresh and Alan. I've had an update. The game's actually starting 3 o'clock your time, not 3:30. Okay, it's actually starting at 3 o'clock your time.
3 o'clock is the toss time, actually.
Am I allowed to give my opinion?
We need to get that clarified, because I've just had a message
Okay,
from...
what time it starts local time? What time does it start in Southampton? Is it a 10:30 a.m. start or 11 a.m. start?
No, but I think we are in DST as well, so maybe that also matters.
Yeah, yes, just 4.5 hours, from whatever time it's starting locally.
I'm thinking it's more 3:30. I'm just going by the messages I'm getting. I'm not claiming to know more.
Am I allowed to give my opinion?
Yes.
Given the fact it's my home
Behram
ground
says, why not have a 10-day test match? Yeah.
and I'm in bed.
So yeah, Richard, we've just had a comment. It's 11 a.m. always. Nick, okay,
My opinion,
it's not changing. Yes, Alan, I'm listening.
my opinion. Am I allowed to? No,
What?
Am I allowed to?
Well, yes.
Okay.
You've been put in the naughty corner because you were naughty, and you've now been taken out of there. So
I thought we were business partners.
yeah, but a business partner doesn't allow someone to do
I'll go
something.
above you. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's going to be.
Hang on a minute. No, hang on, Alan, and I'm going to say this very clearly.
And,
If I need to do something for our sake, it's better that way. Be careful.
The main player for me will be Ashwin, given perfect weather, which it won't.
Yeah, we actually haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about Ashwin, have we? Keshav and Naresh, we haven't talked about Ashwin. We've neglected to talk about Bumrah. Why is that?
Ashwin.
No, I appreciate it. Elaborate then.
Well, okay. Would you like me to, or do we go Peacock?
Are we talking to you later, Ashwin? I'm going to call you Ashwin now, Peacock. Okay, Alan. So listen. Okay, we're talking side languages here. Keshav and Naresh will be digging out the dictionaries for Australian or Australian going on in a minute. So I like this comment. Let's have a look at Birami. He's one of our members here. Keshav, what do you reckon of this? There's only one match. Why not have it for 10 days?
Norman. Hello, Baram. How are you? Norman,
can you imagine having it? I'd love to have a limitless test. I'd love that. Wouldn't you?
I want.
Imagine Pujara batting for one end for 4 days.
My legs get sore.
I mean, I'd love to see Pujara keep going like Pujara would go like this all day. He would love it, letting balls go, getting hit on the shoulder.
Back in. Game over.
But the audience won't love it except for you.
Already, Norman, if you see,
my-
most of the
my-
test
my-
matches
my-
now are not
The rest-
lasting
the rest
5
is all
days
done.
itself.
So
Yeah, it's not lasting 5 days also now, the test matches. Obviously there is an influence of the T20 generation coming in who are playing some test cricket. So very rarely you see 5 days. So even if you say an endless or no limit days of the test matches, you would still see the game getting over in those 4 and 5 days. Very few batsmen are there who would go on to play. As you said, Pujara, yeah, you can say a Steve Smith or a Williamson, they would play for long. But we don't see that kind of a temperament in today's test cricket, which is good because it's giving you more results. Test cricket has started giving results.
Can I say something, Naresh, before I just sign off? Norman, my expert opinion, if I'm allowed to.
yes,
India win the toss, they bat. Colin makes 100, and then New Zealand. Williamson, maybe not. Who knows? My money is on India bat first. They do bat first. Make 350 at the Rose Bowl. Yeah, 350, good score. Then 250 plays 180 plays Ashwin. Bear in mind, Naresh, it's my home ground. I know it back to front, but in good weather.
Yeah.
We're not going to get good weather because it's going to rain.
okay. Look, there is an improved. Alan, there's an improved weather forecast that it may not be as much rain as we're seeing. There's been a changed weather forecast. In fact,
It's my word.
it still hasn't rained.
My word. The best spin bowler in the world.
He is. Okay. Keshav, Ashwin to you. How important is Ashwin to you?
See, I think with Ashwin having not played white ball for India since 2017, it's more or less like a World Cup for him. And same goes for Ishant as well. People like Ishant, Pujara, Rahane. So for them, I think this is the pinnacle moment, and Ashwin especially would be hell-bent on, putting out a major performance that actually might also open the doors for him in white ball yet again. Who knows? So Ashwin, yes. I mean, if I had to pick one out of Jadeja and Ashwin, if India were going with one spinner, doesn't matter how many different sort of dimensions Jadeja brings on field with his fielding and his attacking batting as well. But just based on pure bowling skills, I think Ashwin is a far better test spinner than Jadeja, especially given that New Zealand has so many left-handers in their top order. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with Alan. He will be the key bowler in this one. And as you said, Norman, I mean, this is the one-off final and you have to pick your best 11. So if Ashwin is in your best 11, if he's somebody who picks up wickets regardless of the conditions and the pitch behavior and pitch color, I would pick him 7 days of the week.
There's a certain amount of prestige or a certain amount of honour and pecking order that also goes with these teams. Hang on, Alan. Hang on, I wasn't finished. So there's a pecking order in the teams. Which I mean by that is there's like a hierarchical approach to the match. Will Young probably deserves to be in there, but you're not going to get rid of Taylor, are you? In the Indian side, you could argue maybe Rahane and a few other players are not necessarily in the best of form, but you're not going to put Agarwal in front of them, or even for that matter, Rahul. The reality is there's a pecking order. There's an honour and a hierarchy that's going on here, and we have to respect that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think because of that, Siraj also might have to miss out this final, and you might see him playing a lot more in the England series.
Actually, it's a very good point. But why would Kohli stick his neck out with Ravi Shastri and say they want him in the side? Was that a tactic?
Maybe to
Could
throw
be.
Throw off New Zealanders off the course. But yeah, I mean, look, you with Kohli. With Kohli, sometimes you cannot really expect an 11 because if you remember, back in 2018 when India was touring England, Kohli didn't play the same 11 in any game. Every game there would be a change, and I think across formats there was a stat that Kohli has gone now 37 games for India as a captain with a different squad in every single 11. So with Kohli, I think you can't really expect what sort of change he would do. But since this is a one-off 11, it's not a series, I would expect Kohli and Shastri to be smarter than they usually are in terms of pitch reading and squad selections, which have cost India a lot of South Africa last time, England last time. So this time, I think they should go with Jadeja, Ashwin, Ishant, Bumrah, and Shami.
Actually, you're making a very good point. That you're making a good point because they may sway back to that. They may be leaning towards Siraj earlier on in the discussions and are moving back to him now. So I think you've got to first.
Plus, Ishant performed well in the warm-up inter-squad games as well. So, I mean, that performance might have changed their minds as well. That let's play Ishant ahead of Siraj. Who knows?
But I'll tell you what, Siraj to me, Alan's trying to get our attention. Siraj to me is somebody who they may need, and that's the key to this. Anyways,
and Norman, to add on Ashwin, I mean he's the most wicket taker in this cycle for India. 67 wickets, and probably he's the best currently as an off spinner in Test cricket. What's going to be important is the way he's getting utilized by Virat Kohli or even by Rahane, the way Rahane used him in Melbourne. He can come in early and bowl, and that the bounce he gets, with a ball which is relatively new is what's going to be the key. And Ashwin, I expect he will come in early in the attack, irrespective of the conditions. And as Alan said, the left-handers, they need to be put under pressure, and what better than to get Ashwin early.
Can I ask you something? Like, do you have...
Go ahead, Alan.
I'm pressing around the Bible and saw the rest laughed his head off. You know what, Norman? I have the Rose Bowl is my home ground, right? Been there, done that, but it changes. And you know what? I have absolutely no idea who's going to do what. No idea. We've got fast bowlers for India, swing bowlers for New Zealand, we've got great batsmen, Kohli, Williamson. I just want to see great cricket. For the first time in this COVID-19 thing, I just want to see great cricket.
Yep.
I want to see
I think that's a fair point.
I just want to see great cricket. That's what I want. And then, Norman, we've had chats. I try and think, analyse things. Well, swing here, seam there, bat here, bowl there. You know what? Let's just play cricket.
I do agree. I mean, to me, it's the excitement of playing Test cricket and the unpredictability of the match. Naresh, would you agree? And Keshav? The unpredictability of the match.
I just want to see great cricket. That's what I want.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone wants to. I mean, even if rain spoils the game and we get like 200, 250 game, I think people would enjoy that as well. Because at times you have seen
just for one ball fast. That's all I want.
At times you have seen even in T20s, 130 game in T20 also becomes such a thrilling experience. So maybe
hang five. I bent over backwards to look after my mum here, who's 83. I'm meant to be in the Punjab region of India coaching. You don't think I'm frustrated? You don't think me and Norman want to go to India, to the Punjab region and coach? I've got phone calls all the time. I can't wait. I'm sick to death of this COVID-19 rubbish. Yeah. Let's play ball.
Yeah, there's a huge, Alan, huge impact on domestic cricket. That's very unfortunate.
Huge.
Huge impact. Yeah. But yeah, as Keshav was saying, even if we get 2.5 days, Virat as a captain is going to push for a result. He's going to take those calls. He's going to push for it.
Williamson's the same way. He played the first Test match against England. He pulled the stumps quickly and got England in there. But England, very disappointingly, and Chris Vernon said it as well, they didn't go for it.
Hey, Norman.
And simply protected his
Didn't
wicket.
go for it, yeah.
Thank God we don't have England and Root in this final. Otherwise, they would have played for a draw and joined.
Oh,
Lordy Lord. You know what? As a former cricketer who plays for my country, right? You guys might not realise this. I'm Naresh and correct. You might not know this. I left Perth with $100 and a one-way airline ticket. And my dad, God bless him, he's in heaven now. When are you going to come back, son, when I make it? 18 years. Norman, you know this.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
So just give me that ball. Just give me that. If I'm Trent Bolt, Ron Boombra, just give me that ball. Just give me that ball. I'll do the job. Just give me 1 hour. Give me 10 minutes. I want to play cricket. My point is, yes, I am frustrated. So Norman goes, cricket. There's no cricket, Norman. We're doing other stuff as well, by the way. There's no cricket, Norman. I'm frustrated. Yes, I want to see the ball go down there at 95 mile an hour. Please.
For once, I just hope that if India loses this, I'm just hypothetically, if India loses this, I just hope for once Shastri doesn't make all these excuses that we had 45 minutes of bad patch and that's why we lost. We were the best team in the whole cycle. I just don't want those excuses anymore. I mean, if you want to be the best in the world, you don't have to make excuses that we lost the toss or blah, blah, blah.
No. It's the same for each team. Hence the toss. We're going to bat.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
I think...
Okay, that's a good question. I wanted to get to that. I want to get to the toss because to me the toss is always important. But in particular with this match, you've got to get in there and bat early and get through the first hour of swing and get 300 on the board and put enormous pressure on the opposition. And I tell you what, it's going to be a one-way street.
Yeah, plus Norman, more so for India because if they're going to play with two spinners, you want those two spinners to be bowling in the... They should be bowling in the fourth innings at New Zealand batsmen on day 4 and 5. So that's why you want India to bat first as well, more than New Zealand.
Yeah.
Naresh, it's going to rain.
Well, at least here it's very heavy rain here in Pune. That much I can see.
Yeah, as well. But just before we get this, I had a question. Like I have a little bit of reservation around Ishant Sharma's fitness because in IPL also he played a couple of games and had to sit out. In the England series he was making a comeback, didn't play all Test matches. Australian series he completely missed. Then IPL in UAE, he missed that as well. So, I mean, that's the nightmare, isn't it? If you remember the 2011 Lord's Test when Zaid got injured.
Keshav, I'm looking at this that it is all about this test. Because again, after that, there's a 5-week break. These bowlers...
Huge break.
Even for this test also, I mean, does he have...
If there is a bowler who India feels is not fit enough for 5 days, obviously will not play. But
But they should be all playing, even with a little niggling injury. Put their best foot forward, and if they come out injured, they got time to rest. This is like I compare it to rugby. You don't go in a rugby match going, "Oh, I might be playing a tournament next month." No, you want the game right in front of you. And I bet you Williamson's not 100%. I bet you some of the New Zealand players are not 100%. They're not going to miss out on this match. What about Alan? Did you play injured?
I was going to do something, Norman, but I won't. Or maybe I should. You might ban me again.
Stop saying that, Alan. Just stop going on with it, okay?
Can I show you my big toe?
If you really want to.
I'm trying to. I'm on my bed, by the way.
Well, okay. While Alan's doing that, read this, guys. Read this.
Okay. I'm going to try to bring it around.
Virat Kohli, the second highest run scorer, is 29 ahead of the likes of Smith, Babar Azam, and Labuschagne. Yeah.
So is it? I think it's not just Test matches. I think it's more in all formats.
But still, it's a pretty impressive.
They're called fast bowlers' toes.
So you've broken it several times, have you?
You got that one? Oh my lord! Here we go. Norman,
But
take
I
a
mean,
photo.
look, the likes Keshav and Naresh, and I'm sure that's beautiful. I really, really wanted to see that. That's wonderful.
Norman, you might want to click the picture of.
My point being,
No.
to you, Norman. You're going to be soft. I'm cold.
Okay, well, thank God we can't smell them.
You asked me for a photo. Get the photo. That's called
Of your
fast
foot.
bowlers
I'm not
photo.
taking a photograph
Yes,
of
we
your
never
foot.
Play fully fit.
What?
We never play fully fit, Norman.
That's a
Your
great point.
point was,
That's a great point. But you know what, Alan?
there's
The
my
high
toes.
performance
No,
coaches these
don't
days,
play
the
fully
person's
fit.
got a slight niggle, they're taken out for 2 games and all that rubbish. This is a game you've got to play. You've got to play everybody on deck. Boomer's got to let loose.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? They're going to play,
Oh,
and
no,
if they get
my
injured, they're
lord.
going to play. They're going to come out of this game with a victory.
But Norman, did you see Behram's comment? He asks, does Norman have a foot fetish?
Kushav?
Sorry, for casual. What did you say?
When was the
I
last
said,
time you
just
played
have a look at-
cricket and you walked
just have a
on the
look at
field
Behram's
and your toes were
comment.
full of blood?
Where's the comment?
Behram's comment, the last one.
Batting is Test cricket is like
No,
fishing.
not this
You let the
one.
bowlers bowl and bowl and get tired,
Not this
and then you go for the attack.
Not this
Another
one.
way of playing it. Yeah, I
Not this
agree.
one. No, not this one. He put a different comment. He asked,
Batsman.
does Norman have a foot fetish?
No, I don't have a foot fetish. I can assure you.
Just showing you about what my toes were, and imagine that full of blood. Okay, welcome to being a fast bowler. It's not always that easy. The other side of things you don't quite see.
Look, the bowlers go through heartache. They go through a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
They have to go through more than a batter does. A batter gets bruised, but they don't get hurt.
Okay,
I
but
don't know about that.
I hate to break it to you, but I have to leave right now.
That's all right, Kesha.
Yeah.
That's all right. We're going to be wrapping up in a minute anyway. So thanks,
Yeah.
Kesha, for your time. I
Jason
appreciate it.
Constable, Norman,
What?
the guy hitting the head.
You got hit in the head.
No, Jason Constable.
Oh, this is a copy you're talking. This one here. I don't have a fit footage.
Batting nice, aren't they?
Anyway, bye-bye, guys. Bye, Norman. Bye, Naresh.
All right,
See you,
thanks.
Keshav.
See you
Bye,
tomorrow,
Keshav.
Kesha, for
Bye.
the pre-show, okay?
Bye, Alan. Nice talking cricket with you all.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, Keshav. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, Alan, get
Oh,
a
no.
shot. You're out of shot.
Yeah.
So we've still got a substantial audience here. This is the Naresh. I don't know. Have you ever been excited for a match like this? Maybe a World Cup final when
I
50
am.
over
You know
20.
what, Norman?
Yeah, definitely.
I try and play it, try and bullshit. I am excited. I really am.
I think this is because for both, whatever happens, whether India win or New Zealand win, it's going to be a dramatic moment for both
Ask
countries.
me a question.
The worst
Norman.
game is a draw. That's the worst result.
Ask me
Yeah,
a question. I've got the ball in my hand. Okay, Naresh? Ask me a question. What would I bowl first ball? If I was Trent Bolt or Bumrah, what would I bowl? If I'm Alan Mullally, what would I bowl? Left arm fast bowler. What would I bowl first ball, Norman?
Outside off stump.
Middle and off, good length.
Naresh?
Middle and off, good length. Make the batsman play. First ball, make him play.
Okay, so the right hand out. Okay, Virat Kohli comes in the bat, right? I've got
Yeah.
the ball. The Duke. In my hand, in my pump, right? 94 mile an hour. The first ball, what? Make him play? Seriously?
Middle and leg.
Norman?
Middle and you'll bowl up
I
on
said
the
off
middle
stump.
and
I
leg.
said off stump.
I would want that foot broken. LBW, get out of here. In swinging Yorker, first ball,
In swing.
90
In
mile an
swinging,
hour.
yeah.
Shoot, dunk, game over.
Where
Next
did
one,
you say?
please. What?
And and this is what Norman, we don't see Bumrah do that often in Test cricket. You know, he has such a lovely Yorker.
First ball, batsman's nervous, blah, 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 blah. Left hand, right hand, doesn't matter. Give me the ball. Dunk. Let those stumps go flying into next week. That was what I would do. So, Bumrah, do that.
Yeah, he should be doing that. He's got a wonderful Yorker. Yeah.
Just go, dunk, game over. You know why I know that? Because by the way, Norman.
So let me pictures. I'm batting. I'm
Do I have to use the word
I'm
peacock,
batting.
Norman?
Am I a right hand or a left hand?
Hang on, Norman. Take a step back. Take a step back.
Okay.
Do I have to use the word peacock? Because I might have spoken to someone called Wazim.
I'll give you a peacock in a minute.
Yep, peacock. Game over. I can't say what I know. Left arm. Norman, hurry up. Say it. I spoke to a certain friend of mine called Wazim.
Oh, left arm.
First
Okay.
ball, what would he do?
He would go.
Say the
He would
word
straight.
peacock. Naresh,
Straight to
me
the
and
head.
Norman have this thing. We've got a lot of that stuff going on, right? And Norman's like, you can't give away phone numbers. You can't do this, can't do that. Norman, I spoke to a guy who does this from Pakistan. And he told me what ball he would bowl, straight up. I was saying that ball. Norman?
Yep. I'm waiting to hear. I'm listening.
Yeah. I'm not going to say another word. Swing
Yeah,
it
you're gonna.
that way.
Yeah,
No,
you're gonna.
going to go that way.
I think everybody should go through it. All bowlers.
James
All bowlers around the world should go through a training course from the likes of Ozzy Makram, Alan Mullally, and Dennis Lilly. Shouldn't they? What do you want me to say?
You said to me on the phone earlier, you're going to use the word peacock.
Well, I'm not
In
needing
terms
to at the
of
moment
the
because you're not saying anything wrong.
Okay, brilliant.
Oh, you mean okay? Okay. I guess you don't want to say it. You want to say it on another platform. I get it. Here you go. Barami's answer the
Hit that
question.
guy on the foot.
Answer the question from Barami.
Cross seam. Yeah.
Did you bowl the ball cross seam?
Yeah.
How
You have
often?
a cross seam. I gave you a masterclass last night, Norman.
I know that, but this is a different
So
night.
these guys are on board with our YouTube channel to look at our masterclass.
Okay, we won't do it then. Okay, all right. But I'll just answer that question.
I can't go on and on. Just go and look at our website. Yeah, Norman?
Correct. All right. Okay.
That's called a peacock, Norman.
I know. Okay, then it's peacock. Just look at this question here. Naresh, read it out for me.
Australia deserved the World Test Championship final, but slow over rate in Boxing Day Test lost 4 points, costed them. Losing 4 points costed them.
That may well be technically the case, but did they deserve to be in the World Test Championship final? No.
No, I think at this point of time, New Zealand is much better team, undoubtedly.
There's no doubt. I
just can't see. Hey, Norman, I've got to go.
You got to go. All right.
Look up.
All right, you go. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
In terms of those various things like the old left arm, Wazim, and stuff I know that these guys don't know, Norman, peacock.
Okay. All right. Double peacock.
Go away.
Me.
Bye, Alan.
Take care, Alan. You take care.
Bye, Alan.
We'll talk later. I'm impressed, Naresh, that you've lasted this long, and I appreciate it. Because you know what? There are plenty of people asking questions, and those are like, Alan's he's still on because he's just gone in the darkness, but he's still there. But the reality is that it's good having Alan on. Just a matter we have to work out other people's needs, and it's a good mix. But we've got a great audience today. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I want from you, Naresh, to finish up the show the next 5 minutes or so. I'd like you to go through we've heard what Simon and Chris said. Keshav, yourself and Alan. It does look like they're going to be keeping more to the tried and tested team makeups.
Oh yes, yeah.
It is a final after all, isn't it?
It's the final, yeah, and you need to, and that's what it is. It's very unique. They're playing it for the first time, final of a test cycle which lasted for 2 years. So you have players in form, out of form, injury, coming back from injury. All that balance needs to be considered, and the performance and who you feel is, having that rhythm to select your 11. Yes, recency effect. Henry did very well in the last test. But I still feel they have that other bowlers, the pace attack, who can do it for them.
It's actually very, very wrong. If a player plays well, coming in as a replacement for a game, gets a few wickets, gets player of the match, to suddenly think they should be catapulted into the regular side. It's a dangerous move because the form of that one match doesn't claim to be the reason why. That's why Patel shouldn't be playing either. Because I think, honestly, if Patel plays, it's a feather in India's cap.
Sorry, which player?
With Ajaz Patel and Matt Henry.
Ajaz Patel, yeah.
If those two players who played well in the second test match against England, they shouldn't be catapulted into the side based on one performance. Why? Because it's not tried and tested form. Okay? Yeah. And the reality is that if Matt Henry, not so much, but certainly Ajaz Patel, if he plays in that match, he'll be like a deer in front of headlights. I'll tell you now, because I can assure you the Indian batsmen will play, in fact, prey on his bowling. They'll tear him apart. They'll score maximum runs off him and bowl him out of the attack, or hit him out of the attack. And that's a key positive for India if he plays. And I don't think New Zealand should risk that. Even though Simon and Chris made clear that they should have played spinners, the England side, in their Test series, they probably should have.
Oh yes, they should have. They didn't have even Adil Rashid in the side. Adil Rashid doesn't play IPL and all to strike the balance between, playing a lot of white ball and red ball. So it's very surprising, and hope to see Adil Rashid against India. He's a good bowler. You need to see good quality spin. Moeen Ali, Adil Rashid, they should be there in the side.
Yeah, so what I'm saying to you is the reality is that you have a situation where Patel, despite having played pretty well in the second match, isn't suddenly their lead bowler and shouldn't be given that precedence. And a man like Rishabh Pant would just jump all over him.
Yeah.
And there's too big a risk to take, I would argue. It's something that... And Matt Henry, he bowled well, but they've got 4 other bowlers of quality inside.
Yeah.
And de Grandhomme deserves attention as well because he can do a lot more than just bowl. He can bat, and he's a damn good fieldsman. His slip work, his work in the gully and slips is quite. He seems to have this knack of doing things well, and that's
and both the sides, if they bat first, they want to bat deep. They want to bat long to put up good 300 plus. If they have to go and bat in the 4th inning, they want to bat deep there also because it's going to be tough in the 4th, 5th day. So all this has to be, well considered before they decide their final 11, and not just get carried away that there is overcast conditions or the weather. Because they're not playing a T20 or an ODI where the weather would, play a role on one day. It's about 5 days. It can be something different than the forecast. So that all needs to come in. That's why it's best to play your own strength, what you feel is your best 11 to play. And that's where Jadeja is very, very important. And I again repeat, he's an all-rounder. He may be a spin bowler, but he's an all-rounder. So India is going in with Ashwin, a spinner, and Jadeja, an all-rounder. So,
well, they're going with 2 all-rounders, Jadeja and Pant.
Pant, and Pant needs that. You can't end the batting lineup at number 6 and then have bowlers. Pant, he knows there's Jadeja, Ashwin to come. You'll have Pant more aggressive, and he can take the match away in just a session. So it's very important Pant gets that, good cover around him.
But it just shows the beauty of Pant because he is effectively batting in a batting position, not a keeping position. And because of that, they can afford to have an extra bowler / all-rounder such as Jadeja on the side. if they had Vihari in the side and punt batted one further down, then they lose that luxury.
The luxury. And it's similar for both the sides. You have Watling coming in at 6 for New Zealand. You have Pant coming in at 6 for India. For Watling, it's a big occasion, his last test of the career. Then you can have either a de Grandin and then you have Jadeja, both all-rounders for the side. So it's, and 3 and 4, you are talking about Williamson and Taylor and Pujara and Kohli. So it's such a good matchup, between these individuals.
It's funny, BJ Watling, I've seen him play many a match. Actually, was at the Basin Reserve when he hit big runs with Brendan McCullum. I think Brendan McCullum hit 300 or something, and Watling hit 150 plus. In fact, he may have scored 200. I can't remember, but they batted fantastically. There's a lot of faith in BJ Watling, although for God's sake, his replacement is sensational. What's his name again? Sorry.
Blundell is a keeper.
Yeah, exactly. Blundell.
Yeah.
He scored a magnificent century and could bat upper order. They've got a hell of a replacement there.
He did well against India when India toured New Zealand. Blundell and Latham opened. They did well. And that's what it is. If Conway is retaining his position, replacing Blundell, this means Conway is really, really a good player. And he should be a threat to India. First, he's a left-hander. And then he has a wonderful start at Lord's. So
my only concern is when you score a double 100 early in your career, it's very rare that you continue scoring big scores for a few tests. What I'm getting at is, has he peaked early? Well, I understand. Look, I don't blame him. His first test match at Lord's, double 100. It's a fantasy, or it's a dream come true. But there's a downside to that. You rarely continue doing that in the next few tests. Maybe Root did it earlier this year with a few magnificent innings, but he's played for many years. Conway, I'm predicting, won't get many runs in this match. Why? It's just sheer weight of Murphy's Law. It doesn't work that way. You don't get runs that often after scoring a double century. And
what happens is then even the opposition starts focusing more that what was it that he did so early on. How is his technique? What should our bowlers do? Because he's never played against India. India's never bowled to him. From that perspective, also, you can say Indian bowlers have an advantage. Bumrah and Ishant Sharma probably would look at something which they can, do different. At the same time, for Conway, he knows that they don't know how I bat. So it goes both the ways. And but yes, what happens is when you do so well early in your career, the opposition starts focusing more and starts looking at what plans to make against you.
I've heard people mention this about Jamieson being dropped. Well, the word dropped, being replaced, I'll call it more than dropped, by Matt Henry. No, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think Jamieson would play. Yeah. One thing is there that New Zealand has not been good travelers. Like, they don't do well overseas. Even in this championship, both the teams had a very contrasting start. India won everything in West Indies, and India beat South Africa, Bangladesh. New Zealand started with a 1-all in Sri Lanka. They lost to Australia very badly, but they made a good comeback to be where they are. And this 2 test matches in England, which I would say is contrasting because they don't do well overseas, they are going in with confidence. So Jamieson would definitely play. Yeah, only if fitness can keep him out, but otherwise, he would definitely play.
But again, I'll say it. My heart says India, my head says New Zealand in this match.
Yeah.
And although people are saying it's New Zealand's time, they deserve their chance. No, they don't. They've got to prove it. And they've done very well. They've done everything they possibly can to put themselves in a position to win this match. But we all know that it can stumble within seconds. Now, Andrew Wilkins, isn't it a famous commentator? I wonder if it's really him. Out here drinking a beer at 6:30 a.m.
That's Alan Wilkins. Alan Wilkins is the commentator. Yes.
I know.
Andrew.
I know. But where is Andrew Wilkins at 6:30?
Oh, that's somewhere. It must be somewhere in US. 6:30 a.m.
Must be. It can only be there because there's no other country where it would be that time. Rosu Entertainment was asking Blundell or Conway. Well, they're both
Conway goes in.
But Blundell will be in as well when Watling retires.
Oh yes, yeah.
And actually, that just tells me that New Zealand's got an incredible thing going on. They've got Blundell will take over Watling. Will Young to take over, say, Taylor if he retires.
Yeah, Ross Taylor.
Henry
Yeah.
floating around. They've got an incredible depth there.
And that is where England is not done well. Butler, Ben Stokes, Chris Wokes. These guys have to play more Test cricket so that the transition is good. They have Rory Burns, Lawrence, Oli Pope coming in and putting pressure on the lineup with Joe Root only there with the experience. So New Zealand and India, you see some decent transition. And India needs to quickly look at KL Rahul and Agarwal and all do well because Rahane, Pujara, we need to see how long they would play Test cricket. So these transitions are very, very important. Rohit Sharma, as I said, he'll have to again prove himself because he's playing his first Test in England starting tomorrow as an opener. So in India also has some concerns when it comes to the batting. Bowling side, I think, is very well taken care of. We have some very good bench strength in bowling.
Incredible depth. Incredible depth.
Batting is one area, especially how we bat overseas. That's always been an issue. Yeah.
Well, in the T20 format, the 50-over format, you've got batters coming out of your ears, especially because of the IPL's influence. But Test cricket, India is strong without a doubt. But they aren't. There's a bit of a blurred line going on because Agarwal, Prithvi Shaw, they really haven't quite got it yet. Domestically, they have. They haven't got it at that level. Rahul's in and out like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
I agree. Does that make sense? Is the batting line is very stable, and with Sharma, Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, and Punt, it's a stable batting line. Okay, but for how long? Are we going to see retirements for many of those guys? I don't know.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Naresh? We've gone for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. It's 7 p.m. here. Yeah, probably we can call it off if you're okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you go, Naresh. I'll have a little bit of a monologue for about 5 minutes, but thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. If you've got time tomorrow, join us. We're going to have
probably day after tomorrow. Tomorrow won't be possible. Day after probably pre-show. Pre-game. Yeah.
You're in.
Thanks.
All right. You're dismissed. Not like Alan was. Not like Alan was. But that was kind of amusing. I shouldn't say amusing, but it was justified. But he has his place. He's worth having on.
Yeah.
All right. You take care, Naresh. I'll take a
Thank you, Norman. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, everyone, we've had an amazing session. We're not over yet. I'm taking some more questions. This is question time at the end of the session. I've let all my guests go. We've had a number of great. Yes, batting is very choppy. Don't see any batsman with a consistent form. It's true. I mean, I want to see Virat Kohli get a century. I want to see him get a century in T20 format. I would like to see Rohit Sharma get a century in this match. I would like to see even Rahane. And for New Zealand, I'd love to see Ross Taylor or Williamson get centuries. But we're looking more towards Rishabh Pant doing that, or Conway, or of that nature. We're not really looking towards the batsman who probably should be getting the runs to get the runs. And that's what's intriguing to me. How does New Zealand handle Rishabh Pant? You're from Nepal. Okay. Well, the fact is that Rishabh Pant is going to be if New Zealand play a spinner such as Patel, he will be belted out of the attack within an over or two, and then we won't see much Patel again. New Zealand will be a bowler down. Dumb move. I would not have him in the side. As simple as that. All right, guys. I'll ask 5 more questions and we'll finish the session. Southie versus where is it? Southie versus Kohli or Bolt versus Kohli. More mouth-watering contest to watch out for. Absolutely. And then you can turn that around and talk about Bumrah to Williamson or Bumrah to Taylor or even Conway. Jatin Jain, there we are. Please, I've just told your name. How are you? What was the peacock thing with Alan? Birani, we'll let you work that over a few more sessions. We'll work it out. Okay, it's not a bad word. It's a word that brings things back to where trying to get someone to talk about the topic that's at hand is really what I'm talking about. So the playing 11 is to be announced in some time. Why are you saying that? They're going to announce the 11 now. What today? The day before? Is that where? Music Harmony, as you're called, where are you getting that information from? Like, let me know, because I'm curious. ICC WTC, okay, that may be the case, but they won a hell of a lot before that. I'll tell you. No, they won something before. Okay. Good question. Andrew's asking, how long is Norman going to go live? As long as I've got questions, I'm going to keep live. Okay. So he mentioned the press conference that this is the one that's just happened, that he's going to announce the 11. He's talking about the press conference that's just gone in the last minutes or so. Okay. I don't think it's a new thing as such. I don't know whether it's a new thing. Maybe it's a final. Maybe to get the pomp and ceremony out of the way, maybe they are wanting that. Maybe that's the case. Well, the question here about the weather has already been discussed as being, well, at the moment it's dry, and the potential rain on the day Friday was meant to be all day, and now they're talking about it not being all day, and Saturday being fine. So we might have 2 days of play, 1.5 days play to start with, and going well and truly on this way. I'd say that's one other case. So, all right, guys. I've got 3 more questions to go, and then we're finished. Okay, that's the most obvious question I can think of. Yash Mango, what do you think? Who will win the final? I've said before, my heart says India, my head says New Zealand, but you just don't know. If both teams put their best foot forward and play till injured, play their games and bowl until they're dead tired, bat through the Pujara style play of cricket. Pujara's importance is immense, especially if New Zealand are bowling well. His ability to let the ball go is going to be crucial. So there's a key to that discussion. The heart is always to win. Yes, you're right, Barami. That's a very true point. It is very much the case, and that has to be considered. It has to be considered for sure. All right, 2 more questions. I'm finishing. Rowan versus Bolt is the biggest contest tomorrow. Well, early on it will be, certainly. It could be Kohli versus Bolt. That could be more significant. Siraj or Shami? Well, it could be Siraj or Ishant. But I'm now tending to see that it's going to be Ishant in and Bumrah in, and it will be a Siraj Shami. And I'm even now looking, I've said Siraj all the way along because of what Kohli and the likes of Ravi Shastri have said, but I'm now beginning to turn back to it might be Shami, which would be unfortunate for Siraj, but we'll wait and see. They probably are the 2 that will be in the decision-making process, and it will probably be Shami. But I've always maintained it'll be Siraj, but we'll wait and see. Okay. I'll go 2 more questions and that's it. Okay. Jamieson on Matt Henry, it's going to be Jamieson. Jamieson's going to be in there. Okay. Any idea of the pitch report? No, well, it's too early to say that, but it's going to be an ICC ordained pitch, so it won't be biased anyway. It'll take about a fair bit of pace and bounce and break up towards the end. A very good all-round wicket is what we're hearing. Okay, the last question I'm going to answer is, what will the team do when they win the toss? Traditionally, as we all know, if you win the toss, you do what? You tell me in the commentary. If you win the toss, a good captain generally goes with his heart, more his head, and his determination to get runs on the board early. And that will probably mean, I would argue, that would be to bat. If you win the toss, you elect to bat. Okay? You wouldn't expect to elect to bowl, and you certainly don't elect to chase or to field. I made this clear in my other commentary. Don't ever say you win the toss and elect to field. You win the toss and elect to bowl. Sorry. Never say you win the toss and you elect to field, or you win the toss and elect to chase. No one wants to chase. No one wants to field. You want to bat or you want to bowl. That's the way you communicate that information. All right, guys. We might call it quits there. I think we've still got 90-odd people online. And Sahil Patel says 2 spinners or 4 fast bowlers for India. India's bowling 2 spinners. Okay. My last comments will be the teams. My Indian team will be, and I think it's pretty much going to be the team, Rohit Sharma at 1, 2 Gill, 3 Pujara, 4 Kohli, 5 Rahane, 6 Punt, 7 Jadeja, 8 Ashwin. Leave 3 bowlers. Ishant Sharma, Bumrah, Shami / Siraj. I was saying Siraj earlier, but now I'm saying Shami. That's my team. Umesh Yadav is not in play, although maybe his last series. The New Zealand side is Devon, Conway, number 1, Latham 2, or vice versa, 1 and 2. 3 will be Williamson, although I'd like to see Will Young, but it's not the case. 4 will be, of course, Ross Taylor. 5 will be Henry Nicholls. 6 will be BJ Watling. 7 will be de Grandhomme. Then you have 4 no spinners, and the 4 pace bowlers almost pick themselves. Southey, Bolt, Wagner, and Jameson. There's your 11s. I don't think there'll be any distinguishing factor from those teams. Will Young will count himself a bit unlucky not to be picked, and Matt Henry may have gone close. Patel really hasn't gone close, although he beat Santner out to be in the squad, which I guess is 1 tick in his favour. But Santner, it's bizarre how Santner was picked for the first match as the lead spinner, yet it's not even in the last 15. That's if he was fit, that is. And we're assuming that he's fit. Then that was a bit of a bizarre turnaround, wasn't it? Can we see Jadeja number 4? What was that question? And number 5 is his. No, that's not going to happen. New Zealand will win the toss and bat first. If they do, they're in ascendancy. And for India, they should win the toss to bat first themselves. That's the key to issue between the two. All right, guys. It's now 11:45. I've been on air for 2 hours and 40 minutes. This is almost a marathon. But we've still got 108 people online. So I've got 3 questions. I offered to finish it. 3 last questions, and then we're gone. 3 new questions. 3 new questions, and we'll go from there. I've talked to the 2 teams now. That's done. Pitch we're not going to talk about. Okay. Well, Ahmad Mandal, who will win? I said my heart says India, my head says New Zealand. That's my answer. Where am I talking from? I'm in Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. We'll look at my Street Talk or my Australian fans reaction videos on Coogee Bay Road in Coogee, and I go there and I talk to a lot of people. It's a lot of fun. Last question, guys, and I'm going to have to call it quits. Who will score more runs, Virat or Williamson? Look, I actually don't predict that either of those 2 players will be the ones to score many runs at all, to be honest with you. They're not going to be, their jobs as captains. Of course, they should be batting well, but it'd be nice to see one of those 2 batters get big scores and take the scruff of the neck and win the match. And I would argue that Williamson will probably get more runs, but really they're both not expected to be the ones that can get the runs. I tell you that much now. I don't think either of them can really safely say they're going to be the ones to get the runs. Okay? At all. Kane Williamson or Virat Kohli? I would say Kohli, but Williamson's a great head on his shoulders too. The biggest wicket in the Indian team would be the most delightful to get. Of course, probably Pujara's pretty damn important. Pujara's the backbone of that side. If he's usually at one end while the other batters are batting, so that's probably where the whole situation will begin and fall. So I think that's probably more the position I'll be looking at. And I put a Punt Mania video out. If you've seen that, guys, you should be watching that. A Punt Mania video. Okay, all right, guys. We might leave it at that. Okay, I think the questions have now run out. We've had a pretty damn good session. All right, so when I become an Indian fan, I've been a cricket fan all my life. And Ashwin is important as well, one of the people saying. So view, like, and share my posts. So if there were 37,000 people online, I've only got almost 18,000 have subscribed. So half of you watching potentially have subscribed, half of you haven't. The half that haven't should be going in there, view, liking, and sharing through their WhatsApp or whatever messenger or Twitter handles. Then you go to subscribe and you hit the subscribe to subscribe with a D, and then hit the notification button. Be ready for tomorrow's session, which will be at 1:30 my time, which is 6 o'clock p.m. my time, 1:30 p.m. Indian time, which is in fact about 9 a.m. in the morning, about 2 hours before the match. So that'll be the starting point of my talk tomorrow. So please watch that with a great deal of assurance. All right, guys. I think we've had enough now. All right. So thanks again for joining me. So if you like and share, subscribe, hit the notification button. See you tomorrow. And I'll talk to you more, guys. Great to see you on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Constant. We've had the great guests of Alan Mullally, Simon Willis, Chris Vernon, Keshav Korea, and also Gil and Naresh. We've had. Let's go through it. Simon, Chris, Alan, Keshav, Gil, and Naresh. That's 6 guests, including myself, which makes 7. Great night of time, and I think breaking Indian 11 hasn't been announced. Has the Indian 11 been announced? If someone has it, please tell me. Has the Indian 11 been announced? I'm not seeing it anywhere. Quickly, if anyone's got the Indian 11, anyone got the Indian 11 if they haven't? Have you got has the Indian 11 been announced? I'm going to have a look quickly to see on the websites. So, Anshuman Gautam, Music Harmony. Has anyone got the team? I haven't seen anywhere. I'm not seeing any evidence of them. Has anyone got the team? Someone just mentioned there's a team being announced. So breaking news, the Indian team's been announced. Where is it? I'm just looking up, guys, just quickly before we break off. We'll see if we can find out if we can find the Indian team so we can announce it on air. Let's have a look if I'm getting information. Looking at the ICC and Quick Info would probably have it. ESPN, Quick Info would be the ones to have it. No, there's no mention of. No, there's no mention of it at all. So I can't. You've just said to me, what is it then? If you're going to tell me quickly before we go, who's in it? So Ishant, Insha, Akash. If you've got the team, Barnstead Boys said nothing on Quick Info. Well, where is it? Akash, you're saying. If you're saying that Ishant Sharma's in and Siraj is out, not totally surprised, but I need to find out where that says that. I'm not seeing any evidence of that. I want to see that evidence. Barnstead Boys still on. I'm tired, all right, but I'm not going to leave if we've got an announcement of the Indian team. That's big news. I'm Googling it now, guys. We'll just see. No, there's no evidence of it. All right, guys, we'll leave it at that. Can someone tell me the Indian side? Have you got it? Someone's saying they've got the side. Where would they have got that from? And the word is this: and Sharma's in, and Mossie's and Siraj is not in. That's the question. That means Shami's in and Bumrah's in. No, I think it's enough, guys. All right, guys. If you can't tell me the team, someone can't provide evidence of the team, we'll have to call it quits. BCCI has posted where has been on the BCCI site now. I'm not seeing it. It says BCCI Formers Committee to look at the functioning JKCR. There's no mention of any teams here. So if Manu, John, you've joined us. Has someone got the team? If someone can tell me the team, can emphatically tell me the team, I'll announce it. I'm seeing no evidence of any teams here, so that it mustn't be the case. I'll try and see the ICC. So Anshuman Gautam, if you've got the 11, tell us, Music Harmony, if you've just said that there's no Siraj in the play 11, quote the team for me. Okay, here we go. Is this the final 11? Okay. India's gone with experience as many players. Okay, so if this is the case, we've got Sharma, Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Punt, as we expected, Jadeja, Ashwin, Sharma, and Bumrah. So yes, they have not gone with Siraj in the end. Okay, that's fine. I kind of expected that. So we'll be posting that. So that's all right, guys. So that just for the announcement, the Indian team is very much a stable team. Siraj didn't get a Guernsey, but it is Gill, Sharma, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Punt, Jadeja, and Ashwin as expected. Sharma, and Bumrah. Very predictable team, and that's what you expected to see. So that's the Indian team for you. There's no discussion there about the New Zealand side, but I'm assuming that'll happen soon too. So, all right, guys. I'd like to thank you for tonight. Hang on. We'll go from there. I'd like to thank you for tonight. We have had a great time. Who will win, sir? Again, heart says India, head says New Zealand. That's my last answer. All right, guys. Any other thing? Okay. I'm leaving it at that, guys. So again, view, like, and share the posts. Share, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, go to my Twitter handle of Norm Koch or my Instagram handle of Norm Koch. You've got the eyes on cricket. So love from Nepal. Thank you very much. We're going up to 100 people watching. Yeah, he doesn't think the play 11 has been announced. It looks as though it has. It does look like it has. And we'll let that be the case because I think that's a fair whack. All right, guys. I need to go. I think Shami and Ishant are a must because they are the only bowlers that have experienced bowling in England. That's a fair point. All right, guys. I think we've got to call it quits there. I've literally gone almost 3 hours and I'm starting to get tired. All right, guys. All the best, guys. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to view, like, and share the post, subscribe, notify, and even join the membership level. Good night, guys. This is Norman Costing from Eyes on Cricket. See you later.